Chapter 665. The expressions of the other four changed. They all felt a deep threat. Lan Feichen said, "In our 18 southern provinces, only Feng Xingsheng can achieve a perfect 60% comprehended saber intent. Could it be that this fellow is as strong as Feng Xingsheng? That can't be wrong. Only a perfect 60% comprehended saber intent, combining quintessence and saber intent perfectly, would be impossible to break." Feng Wuhan sighed. Meng Hongfei also sighed softly. Originally, I wanted to see where Guo Wu's bottom line was. Unexpectedly, an even more troublesome Xiao Chen suddenly appeared. Yu Jiqiang smiled slowly and said, "Everyone, don't be too pessimistic. Feng Xingsheng is known as the top bladesman of the 18 southern provinces. He is also the top true inheritor of the Full Moon Pavilion. For him to obtain this title, he did not just rely on his perfect 60% comprehended saber intent. Xiao Chen is far from comparable to him. We still have a chance." "Senior brother Yu, what do you mean?" Bai Zihao rolled his eyes as if he thought of something. A sinister smile flashed on Yu Jiqiang's face. He said, "This fellow's potential is pretty good. However, his cultivation is far from ours. We have plenty of opportunities before he rises up." Lan Feichen said coldly, "That's right. Wanyan Feiyu has suppressed us for so many years. If another Xiao Chen comes to snatch resources from us, we will never be able to become true inheritors in this lifetime. Senior brother Yu, your cultivation is the highest. We will listen to you." The other three did not even think about it, immediately agreeing to Yu Jiqiang's suggestion. Yu Jiqiang smiled coldly and said, "This matter needs to be discussed at length. However, for now, there is a big fool who will help us test it out. White-robed bladesman, there is still a battle between us that has not been decided yet. Are you thinking of leaving already?" Everyone looked over and saw Situ Gang among the Battle Realm disciples on the shore laughing loudly. Then, he soared into the air and threw a punch at Xiao Chen's back. A resonant dragon roar resounded. When the blue dragon image under Situ Gang's feet heard the sound of air tearing behind him, it seemed like Xiao Chen had reached a state of telepathy with him. Without needing to deliberately control it, the blue dragon phantom circled once, and Xiao Chen instantly turned around. Facing this domineering punch, Xiao Chen's eyelids sank slightly. He did not dare to be careless. He circulated his vital qi, and the 12 acupoints on his right arm quietly opened. Then, he punched out as well. Bang! A terrifying explosion resounded between heaven and earth. The surface of the lake that had just calmed down surged again in an instant. 81 pillars of water shot into the sky. Splash! The lake water fell down like raindrops, drenching the two people's clothes. Both of them retreated 100 steps, and their feet landed heavily on the surface of the water. At the same time, a pillar of water rose up behind them, intertwining with each other. Situ Gang laughed and said, "Satisfying, take another punch from me." Roar! Roar! Tens of thousands of meters in the sky behind him, the wind and clouds fluctuated. Faintly, there seemed to be the silhouette of an ancient giant among the layers of white clouds. That giant was 300 meters tall, and its aura was like a mountain. It reared its head back and roared, stirring up the clouds for 5,000 kilometers around. Situ Gang used this overwhelming aura to stomp heavily on the surface of the lake. He spread out his arms and soared like a great rock, sending another punch at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows. He recognized that this was the ancient giant bloodline that the people of the Battle Realms relied on to become famous. After Situ Gang activated it, it was truly startling, its aura startling. The veritable essence energy that Xiao Chen had refined twice circulated quickly in his body, flowing through all the meridians of various sizes. It was like thousands of gushing rivers. The aura that Xiao Chen had been hiding erupted. A dragon roar seemed to build up in his chest, and he was not suppressed by the other party's aura. Just as the other party arrived, Xiao Chen merged his vital qi and veritable essence energy and sent out a berserk dragon fist. Bang! 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 As the dragon's head roared, it clashed its fists. A strong aura spread out into the surroundings. The lake water split in half, forming 200-meter-tall walls of water surging towards the shore. Damn! The wall of waves carried a huge force. The inner sect disciples who were watching from the shore cursed and quickly flew into the air. Hu Chi! This strike forced Xiaochen back 300 meters. His qi and blood surged endlessly. His internal organs were shaken, and blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. Earlier, when Xiaochen used the four-season saber technique in the courtyard, he had exhausted a significant amount of veritable essence energy. After that, he used the four-season saber technique again in the battle with Guiwu. Now, he only had a quarter of his veritable essence energy remaining. Hence, when Xiaochen merged his vital qi and veritable essence energy, he could not display even half of his usual might. Before Situ Gang, who had activated the ancient giant bloodline, he was slightly weaker. When Situ Gang saw the situation, he laughed loudly, appearing very cocky. Before the lake water gathered again, he prepared to launch another attack. Boom! However, just at this moment, an azure flame suddenly burned the white clouds above Situ Gang's head. The azure flame spread out and quickly covered half the sky. A dragon claw clenched tightly into a fist and descended from the sky, smashing towards Situ Gang's head. Situ Gang was shocked. He quickly threw a punch at the dragon claw, but the dragon claw that descended from the sky did not move at all. However, the dragon claw descending from the sky had the advantage of the terrain. Furthermore, it had caught Situ Gang off guard. Before he could store up the ancient giant's aura, the punch smashed him back to the bottom of the lake. At this moment, the two parts of the lake merged back together. The force of this collision was more than 5,000 kilograms. Situ Gang's Battle Realm friends at the shore could not help but break out in a cold sweat. Pu Ci. Water splashed everywhere as Situ Gang leaped out. Blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. His clothes were all torn, revealing his sturdy muscles filled with explosive power. Damn it! Situ Gang had not expected Xiaochen to make a fool out of him despite holding the upper hand. He felt flustered and exasperated, wanting to soar into the air. Xiaochen's expression did not change. He spread out his spiritual sense and had already predicted the direction Situ Gang would take. He punched the sky with his right fist and said calmly, "Heaven-burning stance, Dragon Claw." Xiaochen's vital qi burned in his body, and a strand of azure smoke came out of his Tianmen acupoint, burning large patches of white clouds. An azure dragon claw descended from the sky, carrying the might of the 9 heavens. Paw! It smashed Situ Gang into the bottom of the lake again. The rage of a dragon could burn the sky with raging flames. How could ordinary people resist it? Such a scene startled the people at the shore. Yu Jiqiang said with a sullen expression, "Originally, I thought that Situ Gang would crush this fellow after exhausting most of his quintessence. Unexpectedly, he still has such a startling physical body. His vital qi probably reached 500 tons of kilograms. We have to get rid of this fellow. Otherwise, none of us can think of becoming true inheritors. He is an even greater threat than Situ Gang and Guiwu," Feng Wuheng said through clenched teeth. A purple-clothed man stood quietly on one of the tall green trees on the opposite bank. The purple-clothed man's aura was almost perfectly fused with the green tree, which was why such a large target could be seen. Unexpectedly, no one noticed him. At a glance, he looked like a branch that originally existed on the tree, unremarkable. Not bad. Unexpectedly, aside from having a startling physical body, this fellow's saber techniques are also so demonic. This person was Qin Xiao, one of the 2 true inheritors who had received Xiaochen in the past. Qin Xiao's lips curled up in a smile as he said indifferently, "However, my quintessence is about to run out. These 2 wondrous fist techniques also burn my vital qi as the price. I'm afraid I'm at the end of my rope. I have to help him. This fellow's potential is pretty good. He is worth befriending." Right after Qin Xiao spoke, he drifted down like a falling leaf, slowly heading for the center of the lake. Situ Gang, who was at the bottom of the lake, felt extremely depressed. He had learned his lesson this time. He held his breath at the bottom of the lake and stored up the aura of an ancient giant, exhausting half of his quintessence to kill Xiao Chen with one punch. Boom! The lake water churned endlessly like there was a huge creature roaring ferociously. As the waves surged, everyone felt a horrifying energy surging under the water. White-robed bladesman, die! A pillar of water shot up, and Situ Gang's aura reached its peak. He leaped out of the water and roared ferociously. A golden flame covered his entire body as he punched at Xiao Chen. However, before Situ Gang could react, he saw a purple figure flash by. Then, he got kicked in the chest. The angle of that kick was shockingly accurate, hitting his only weak point. The quintessence in the kick was extremely horrifying, several times stronger than that of a peak medial-grade martial monarch. It was as vast and boundless as the sea. Paw! Situ Gang could not resist at all. He vomited a large mouthful of blood, and the flames on his body vanished. Then, he fell back into the water in an even more sorry state than before. He felt extremely sullen. Chen Xiao, one of the 9 true inheritors, is here as well. The expressions of Yu Jiqiang and the others changed. They all had suspicious gazes in their eyes. They could not figure out why someone of Chen Xiao's status would appear in such a situation. Damn it! Who the hell kicked me? Are you tired of living? Simmering with rage, Situ Gang leaped out of the water once more. Ignoring his internal injuries, he started cursing loudly. When the purple-clad Chen Xiao heard this, he could not help but smile faintly. Then, he rushed over at lightning speed and kicked heavily again. Situ Gang, who had just emerged from the water, did not even get a clear look before he was kicked back into the lake again. The people of the battle realms all had fiery tempers. When Situ Gang recovered his wits, he immediately leaped out. He did not even have time to wipe the water off his face as he continued cursing, damn it! Who kicked me? Huh! Curse! Continue cursing. Chen Xiao smiled faintly and did not explain anything. Then, he kicked Situ Gang back into the water again. The group of Battle Realm people at the shore paled. When they saw the Battle Realm genius, Situ Gang, being repeatedly kicked into the lake without being able to retaliate, they felt extremely embarrassed in their hearts. If it were someone else, they would have ignored the rules long ago and charged over. However, when facing the true inheritor, Chen Xiao, they did not dare to say anything or make any moves. Gurgle! Gurgle! This time, Situ Gang at the bottom of the lake finally sobered up. He knew that an incredible person had arrived. Situ Gang held his breath at the bottom of the lake before resurfacing in fear. He only revealed half his face and watched carefully. Chapter 666. When Situ Gang saw the smiling true inheritor Chen Xiao in the air, his heart turned cold. He quickly prepared to fly out and apologize. However, Situ Gang seemed to think of something. Just as he rose to the surface, he sank back into the water. Situ Gang's appearance was extremely comical. After being knocked into the water several times today, a shadow had already formed in his heart. Senior brother Chen, Situ Gang apologizes to you. He was rude earlier and deserved to be kicked. However, senior brother, please explain why you suddenly interfered in my duel with Xiao Chen, Situ Gang said as he performed a cupped fist salute, hiding the rage in his eyes. Such a scene made Yu Jiqiang and the others' gazes blaze with fervor. An intense yearning appeared in their hearts. This was a true inheritor. Regardless of whether it was right or wrong, if he kicked you, so be it. If you dared to speak rudely, then he would continue to kick you. Even if he severely injured you, there would be no one to reason with. Although the true inheritors' cultivations were not as high as those martial sage elders, they were still young, no more than 40 years old. They were all talented people. In the future, they would definitely become the pillars of the Haotian sect. Their statuses were equal to that of elders. They could use the full power of punishment elders against inner sect disciples and directly control the life and death of outer sect disciples. Their statuses were high, and the resources they enjoyed were even better than those of elders. These were the lifelong goals of Yu Jiqiang and the others. Situ Gang had been in the Haotian sect for more than 2 months. He already knew how terrifying true inheritors were. Hence, when Situ Gang discovered that the person who kicked him was Chen Xiao, all his temper immediately vanished. Chen Xiao said coldly, "Are the people of the battle realms all as shameless as you? Xiao Chen just fought with Gue Wu, and you took advantage of him while he was down. Yet, you still dare to call this a duel?" Situ Gang paled as he slowly flew out of the water. He glanced at Xiao Chen and said, "Good. In that case, I'll wait for you for 2 months. Xiao Chen, 2 months from now, let's finish our unfinished duel here. Do you dare?" Xiao Chen retorted indifferently, "Why would I not dare? If you want to fight, I will grant your wish. I will wait for you here in 2 months." Originally, Situ Gang had intended to end today's duel quickly, spreading his reputation far and wide. Unexpectedly, it ended like this. Situ Gang felt extremely sullen in his heart. He snorted coldly and slowly walked back. In the distance, Yu Jiqiang's expression was incomparably gloomy as he said, "Let's go as well. This kid hasn't risen to prominence yet, so we must think of a way to deal with him. However, he actually has a connection to Chen Xiao. We have to discuss this when we get back." The few of them felt threatened in their hearts and their expressions were ugly. They were no longer as relaxed as they were when they first arrived. "Junior brother Xiao Chen, I have done you a great favor. Are you not going to invite me back for a seat?" Chen Xiao turned around and smiled at Xiao Chen after everyone left. Xiao Chen had no idea. Chen did God of it. Chen. Xiao. Chen and Xiao. However, even if Chen Xiao had not come, Xiao Chen had a 60% chance of defeating Situ Gang. However, the secret of the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram and the blue dragon would have been exposed. Chen Xiao knew what Xiao Chen was thinking. He smiled faintly and said, "Don't overthink. Someone asked me to bring you something. It was just a matter of convenience." The suspicions in Xiao Chen's heart deepened. However, he could only put them aside and lead Chen Xiao into his courtyard. Chen Xiao took a sip of the tea that Xiao Chen brewed for him. Then, he took out a jade bottle and a brocade box. He said, "There is a stalk of monarch blood grass in the brocade box. After consuming it, it can improve a cultivator's blood, giving them a trace of an ancient monarch's bloodline. There is half a drop of dragon marrow in the jade bottle. It can seep into a cultivator's marrow and allow their bones to undergo a complete rebirth, giving them 1/10 of the dragon bone's defense. The value of the two added together would be difficult to buy even if one spent tens of millions of superior-grade spirit stones." Great waves stirred in Xiao Chen's heart. Could these 2 things be for me? Huh. That's right. These 2 natural treasures are for you. Even I am envious of such things, Chen Xiao said with a faint smile. Chen Xiao said with a faint smile. He wasn't lying. 10 million upper-grade spirit stones was a huge sum even for a true disciple. Furthermore, these 2 natural treasures were actually very difficult to measure with spirit stones. Even if one had money, one could not buy them. Most people would just consume them themselves. This happiness came too suddenly. Xiao Chen found it hard to believe. He asked, "Senior brother Chen, who gave me these 2 items?" Chen Xiao shook his head and replied, "I'm not sure. First senior sister got someone to pass them to you at Bushin Palace. As for who gave them to you, I do not know either. I only heard from first senior sister that this person has a great background." The first senior sister that Chen Xiao mentioned was the top true inheritor of the Haotian sect, Shui Lingling. She was also one of the 7 giants of the Tianwu domain's younger generation, second only to the sons of the 3 holy masters. She was undoubtedly a hero among women. In the 18 southern provinces, the Haotian sect's reputation was higher than the other 9 ranks of the great families. Aside from the mysterious sect master, a large part of the reason was this woman's prestige. Even after Chen Xiao left, Xiao Chen still could not figure out who was so generous as to bring him such a gift. Xiao Chen did not remember interacting with anyone in the Kunlun realm. Never mind. There is no point in overthinking. These 2 natural treasures happen to be very useful to me. Originally, I was worried that I would not be able to reach the peak of the firmament body tempering art's 6th layer in a short time. Now, I can relax, Xiao Chen said softly as he placed the jade bottle and the brocade box into his universe ring. After renting this courtyard, Xiao Chen had only 1 million superior grade spirit stones left. Xiao Chen did some calculations. 1 million superior grade spirit stones would only allow him to reach the middle stage of the firmament body tempering art for a short time. If everything went smoothly, he would be able to reach the late stage of the firmament body tempering art at best. He did not even dare to think about reaching the peak of the firmament body tempering art. After his vital qi reached 500 tons of force, it would be very difficult to increase it by even 10%. With this monarch blood grass and half a drop of dragon marrow, all his problems would be solved. As for who sent them, that would be a problem for him to consider in the future. Xiao Chen quickly replenished his exhausted quintessence using a spirit vein's origin in the cultivation room in the courtyard. Then, he immediately rushed to the herb shop in the inner city, where he bought the quintessence gathering pill. The shop was cold and cheerless, there was not much business. The shop assistants and the owner all seemed dispirited. Suddenly, when the owner saw Xiao Chen walk in, his eyes lit up. He immediately remembered that this was the rich customer who spent 200,000 superior grade spirit stones to buy 2 quintessence gathering pills. The owner immediately perked up and smiled. It has been a few days since we last met. Little brother's cultivation has improved greatly. Congratulations. The owner's eyes were very sharp. With one glance, he could tell that Xiao Chen had consumed the quintessence gathering pill. Xiao Chen's strength was at least 20% stronger than the last time he came. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said calmly, "It cannot be said that my cultivation has improved greatly. Bring out the medicinal pills and natural treasures that I mentioned previously." The owner was startled. The medicinal pills that Xiao Chen mentioned previously cost a total of 7 or 800,000 superior grade spirit stones. Even a regular inner sect disciple would not be able to take out so many. Where did Xiao Chen get so many spirit stones? What's wrong? Are they all sold out? Xiao Chen asked with a slight frown when he saw the owner not moving. When the owner reacted, he revealed an expression of wild joy. He shouted, "How can this be? Quick, bring out the medicinal pills and natural treasures for body tempering cultivators." Soon, the counter in front of Xiao Chen was filled with medicinal pills and natural treasures for body tempering. Xiao Chen casually glanced through them and said, "You can remove the medicinal pills that are not useful for 500 tons of force of vital qi." The owner was astonished once again. This Xiao Chen did not look very old, only 21 or 22 years old. For him to be an inferior grade martial monarch was not too shocking in the Tianwu domain. However, Xiao Chen's physical body had also reached 500 tons of force of vital qi. This was rather scary. After taking away the inferior medicinal pills and natural treasures, Xiao Chen counted them and took out a bottle of spirit freezing pills. Tempering the physical body was like tossing a piece of metal into a blazing fire, tempering it thousands of times, tempering it into steel. The process was extremely painful. The further one went, the more horrifying the pain would be. Hence, many cultivators were willing to spend time tempering the physical body. The spirit freezing pill was a medicinal pill unique to the Kunlun realm. It could reduce the pain during the tempering process. If used at the right time, it would be very useful. However, it was very expensive. There were no more than 3 spirit freezing pills in one bottle. However, they cost 150,000 superior grade spirit stones, comparable to the rank 8 quintessence gathering pill. Furthermore, the spirit freezing pill only reduced pain. It was far from comparable to the quintessence gathering pill. It had to be said that the expenses of a body-tempering cultivator were truly flabbergasting. After choosing the spirit freezing pill, Xiaochen took out a stack of dragon jelly ointment. The dragon jelly ointment was made from the blood of an earth dragon and the fire dragon fruit, using a special formula. When placed in clear water, it would form a medicinal liquid. When a cultivator soaked in it and tempered their body, with the help of the medicinal energy, they could achieve twice the result with half the effort. There were many similar medicines. However, at Xiaochen's cultivation realm, the dragon jelly ointment was the most effective. After that, Xiaochen asked for a blood refining pill. The blood refining pill had the same effect as the monarch blood grass. However, the effects were worlds apart. However, this did not prevent him from using the blood refining pill before consuming the monarch blood grass. Finally, Xiaochen took out a yellow spirit flower. The yellow spirit flower had the same effect as the half-drop of dragon marrow. However, the latter was extracted from the spine of an ancient dragon, so the two were not on the same level. The shop owner smiled happily as he counted the items. Then, he said to Xiaochen, all in all, it will cost 1,600,000 superior-grade spirit stones. However, you are a Haotian sect inner sect disciple. It is the same as buying the quintessence gathering pill. You only need to pay half the spirit stones. Xiaochen put away all the items. Then, he took out 800,000 superior-grade spirit stones and gave them to the shop owner. Xiaochen still had some spirit stones on hand, but he was not in a rush to leave. Boss, do you know where I can buy immortal spirit rings in the city? How much would they cost? The shop owner muttered, immortal spirit rings, you can definitely buy them in the city's auction houses. However, the items there are very expensive. If you want to buy them, you can go to the miscellaneous goods street in the west of the city. That place specializes in miscellaneous goods. There are also some unknown treasures that you can find in remnants. As for the price, inner sect disciples do not get any discounts when buying immortal spirit rings. The more expensive ones cost 1 million superior grade spirit stones. The worse ones only cost tens of thousands of superior grade spirit stones. The more expensive the immortal spirit ring, the larger the space inside. Of course, the consumption is higher as well. Chapter 667. Xiaochen sighed softly and said, the immortal spirit ring consumes energy. The owner stroked his beard and smiled. That is natural. Otherwise, where would it get the energy to form a world of its own? Unless it is an immortal spirit ring from the immortal epic, which can be used in a limited fashion, the current immortal spirit rings all require spirit stones. Xiaochen entered deep thought. Then, he asked, medial-grade spirit stones? Xiaochen had several million medial-grade spirit stones, but he had not had a place to spend them. If he could use them in the immortal spirit ring, he would not waste them. Yes, the effects are the same. It is just a matter of how much you use. After obtaining the answer he wanted, Xiaochen performed a cupped fist salute and prepared to leave. Little brother, wait for a moment. Actually, I have an immortal spirit ring here. In the past, the inner sect disciples did not have enough spirit stones and used it to exchange. The energy in it has already withered. However, it is still rather large, at least 1,000 hectares. The owner seemed to have thought of something, suddenly calling out to Xiaochen. Xiaochen gave the other party a strange look. Then, he quietly received the ring that the other party handed him. After sizing it up, he sent in his spiritual sense. Xiaochen saw nothing but pitch-black darkness. Aside from a nearly negligible spot of light, he could not see anything else. Xiaochen could not help but frown. Although he had not seen an immortal spirit ring before, he would not be fooled like that. Clearly, there was something wrong with it. Wait a moment. Don't be in a rush to return it. Suddenly, Ao Jiao's voice rang out in Xiaochen's mind. He saw a figure flash in the pitch-black space. It was Ao Jiao. This ring has a very dense aura of the immortal epic. Toss in your medial grade spirit stones and take a look. Without saying anything, Xiaochen tossed in 1,000,000 medial-grade spirit stones. Drizzle fell in the pitch-black space. The raindrops gave off a faint glow, looking very beautiful. However, after the rain stopped, the pitch-black space did not change. Nothing could be seen, it was just pitch-black. Continue. Seeing that Ao Jiao wanted to continue, Xiaochen tossed in another 2,000,000 medial-grade spirit stones. However, nothing changed. Continue. Xiaochen tossed in another 3,000,000 medial-grade spirit stones. The light dripped down, but nothing changed. Continue. Xiaochen felt conflicted. Medial-grade spirit stones were not very useful in this Kunlun realm. However, they were not cabbages. They could be used to refine spirit-gathering pearls and exchange for superior-grade spirit stones after suffering some losses. In just a few moments, he had used up all of his middle-grade spirit stones. If he still did not obtain anything, then he would really be a fool. Ao Jiao said anxiously, "Hurry up. Just throw in another 2,000,000 spirit stones. If you are any slower, all the spirit stones in front will be gone." Helpless, Xiaochen could only place in the final 2,000,000 medial-grade spirit stones. Xiaochen. Spirit flame, and Chen, the sun, Chen's heaven, and, spirit, and, Chen, spirit. Now, the originally small speck of light had turned into a small sun hanging in the sky. The world in the ring was a place of its own. There were mountains, rivers, and vast, boundless plains. There were all sorts of flowers, grass, and trees everywhere. It looked very lively, covering a vast area. Ao Jiao giggled and said, "Silly brat, you picked up a treasure, right? This is a bona fide immortal spirit ring from the immortal epic. In the past, when I was adventuring with the Thunder King, I saw one. We had to throw in a large number of spirit stones at the same time to open it." Xiaochen rejoiced in his heart, but his expression did not change. Without saying anything, he tossed the immortal spirit ring to the owner with a dark expression and turned to leave. "Little brother, wait a moment. Wait a moment. This ring is really just drained of energy. Just throw in some more spirit stones, and it will be fine." The owner held on to Xiaochen, refusing to let go. Xiaochen rolled his eyes and said, "Do you think I'm a fool? This ring is already damaged. It is completely useless." The owner chuckled and said, "It is fine even if it is damaged. It can be repaired. How about this? I'll sell it to you at a lower price. 100,000 superior grade spirit stones." Seeing that Xiaochen's expression did not change, the owner clenched his teeth and said, 80,000, no, 50,000 is fine as well. The lowest price is 30,000. Xiaochen said, "I'll buy another bottle of spirit freezing pills. I'll give this ring to you as a gift." The owner looked around and immediately started calculating. The profit from the spirit freezing pills was about 30,000 superior grade spirit stones. This lousy ring was not worth anything at all. Xiaochen would be lucky to be able to throw it away. Soon, the owner came up with an answer. He said with a smile, "Deal. Give him another bottle of spirit freezing pills." Xiaochen took out 150,000 superior grade spirit stones and carefully put away the immortal spirit ring and the spirit freezing pills. Then, he hid his expression and walked out of the shop. "Owner, wasn't that immortal spirit ring you picked up from the Sundry Goods Street? Why did you give it to someone else for free?" The owner laughed happily and said, "What the hell do you know? I was just bragging. Those old fellows from the Sundry Goods Street cheated me to death. I bought it for 10,000 superior grade spirit stones. In the end, I wasted 5,000,000 medial grade spirit stones and still did not manage to open the space inside. I was lucky to be able to throw it to this arrogant buy." Outside the shop, Xiaochen walked out for a long time before he revealed an expression of wild joy. He solemnly wore the immortal spirit ring on his finger, his eyes filled with joy. When Xiaochen returned to his courtyard, he still could not hide the joy in his heart. The owner of the Immortal Spirit Ring had actually given him a 50,000-hectare Immortal Spirit Ring for free. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen took out the huge piece of soil with the Netherworld flower from the Universe Ring and moved it into the air with a xiao sound. After close to 3 months without the support of spiritual energy, the Netherworld flower had clearly withered significantly. Fortunately, the white flame in the center of the flower was only slightly dimmer. It still looked full of life force, showing no signs of withering. Xiaochen used the Immortal Spirit Ring to sweep across the square piece of soil in the air. A strong suction pulled it in. He sent his spiritual sense into the Immortal Spirit Ring, and that piece of soil floated quietly in the air. Xiaochen discovered that his spiritual sense could easily control that piece of soil in the world within the ring. However, when Xiaochen looked at this vast and boundless world within the ring, he felt somewhat worried. He did not know where to place it. "Come with me. Place the Netherworld flower on the spirit vein's origin. It will grow faster," Ao Jiao said as she floated over. Xiaochen controlled the Netherworld flower and followed Ao Jiao. At the same time, he felt it was strange. He asked, "There is a spirit vein in this ring? Why do I not feel it?" Ao Jiao smiled gently and said, "There is. However, it is just a rank 1 spirit vein. Furthermore, it is of the lowest rank. The area it covers is rather small. In the future, when you are strong enough, you can bring in a few more high-ranked spirit veins. At that time, you can have your own herb field here." Following Ao Jiao's lead, Xiaochen's spiritual sense brought the Netherworld flower to a small herb field. Ao Jiao executed a small trick and immediately opened up a large hole in the ground. A spiritual light flickered at the bottom of the hole. Strands of spiritual energy turned into white mist and rose up. It was as Ao Jiao said, there was indeed a spirit vein here. The square piece of soil with the Netherworld flower slowly filled up the hole. With the replenishment of spiritual energy, the dispirited Netherworld flower instantly became much brighter. When Xiaochen saw this scene, he rejoiced in his heart. The Netherworld flame in the Netherworld flower was a superior yin-attributed flame. After the extreme yin flame consumed it, it could greatly increase the strength of the extreme yin flame, increasing the might of the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. All along, the yang flame had flourished while the yin flame dwindled. For the sake of maintaining balance, Xiaochen could not even unleash half of the purple thunder true fire's might in his right eye. This greatly limited the strength of the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. The Taiji yin-yang flame diagram was one of Xiaochen's greatest trump cards. From a certain perspective, it was even stronger than the heaven-ranked martial technique, the dragon subduing slash. In this Kunlun realm, although heaven-ranked martial techniques were expensive, they were not particularly precious. The true inheritors of the various 9 ranks of the great families would all obtain a heaven-ranked martial technique. Only the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram could achieve the balance of yin and yang that no one had been able to achieve since ancient times. Xiaochen used the unique Taiji yin-yang flame diagram on Earth to merge them together. Even the martial sage Emperor Wu could not do it. "You will be staying here in the future. With me helping you take care of the Netherworld flower, you can make it mature a few months earlier," Ao Jiao said with a smile as she stretched lazily. Xiaochen smiled faintly and said, "You know how to do this as well." Ao Jiao's lips curled up as she replied, "That is natural. In the past, I helped to take care of the Thunder King's Immortal Spirit Ring. Every Emperor Wu has his own Immortal Spirit Ring. He can plunder spirit trees and spirit herbs to nurture his own herb field. The Immortal Spirit Ring of the Immortal Epic is not that easy to obtain. Even some peak martial sages would be jealous of you. Just this point alone puts you ahead of many people." Xiaochen smiled and did not say anything. He could only listen to Ao Jiao's words. With Xiaochen's current strength, it would be impossible for him to fight for a spirit origin, even if it was just a rank 1-1. Those martial sages could kill him with one slap. With Ao Jiao's help, Xiaochen did not need to worry about the Netherworld flower. He withdrew his spiritual sense from the Immortal Spirit Ring and started preparing to cultivate the firmament body tempering art. Xiao Chen found a large bathtub and filled it with clean water. Then, he slowly placed the dragon jelly ointment into the water. Chi! Chi! The water instantly boiled, and the medicinal effects of the dragon jelly ointment slowly came out. The clear water quickly turned steaming hot, and a medicinal fragrance spread throughout the room. Xiao Chen observed carefully before stopping. The remaining dragon jelly ointment seemed like it could be used 2 more times. 100,000 superior-grade spirit stones were gone, just like that. Removing his clothes, Xiao Chen muttered, "I spent so much money to buy this dragon jelly ointment. I hope it will have some effect." Xiao Chen placed an ice spirit pill in his mouth and entered the bathtub. Then, he sat down cross-legged. The medicinal liquid in the water immediately seeped through his pores and entered Xiao Chen's body. Xiao Chen's complexion flushed red. He felt a warm current spread throughout his body. The strength and toughness of his physical body slowly increased at a weak rate. The quintessence in his dantian stopped flowing, and everything became quiet. Xiao Chen circulated his vital qi, letting it flow up and down his body, driving the medicinal energy. Qi! Qi! As Xiao Chen circulated his vital qi, his bones, blood, skin, and flesh felt like they were being hammered by a steel hammer. The heart-wrenching pain was unbearable. Chapter 668. The first 5 layers of the firmament body tempering art had been painful as well. However, it was not as intense as this time. Furthermore, with the help of the medicinal energy, the intense pain doubled. Xiao Chen was not in a rush to crush the spirit freezing pill. He relied on his tenacious will to endure the pain of being tempered thousands of times and clenched his teeth. Night arrived quietly. The morning sun rose and set without anyone noticing. Xiao Chen completely forgot about the flow of time. As he circulated the firmament body tempering art and the dragon jelly ointment, the strength of his physical body rapidly increased. The pain was like maggots in one's bones, following them like a shadow, constantly interrogating the cultivator's will. As long as Xiao Chen circulated the firmament body tempering art, the pain would attack him continuously. As his strength increased, the pain would increase. Only by stopping cultivating could he eliminate the pain. At this moment, a cultivator's will and mental state became very important. You can endure loneliness and temptation. You have outstanding talent, excellent aptitude, and outstanding comprehension ability. You are ruthless to your enemies, showing no mercy. However, you do not dare to be more ruthless to yourself. If you cannot endure the pain of being tempered thousands of times, you will not be able to become a peak expert, standing out from the crowd. Endure. 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 Xiao Chen roared in his heart. He did not give up. He circulated the firmament body tempering art continuously, waiting for the pain to surpass his limits. When he fainted from the pain, he would quickly crush the spirit freezing pill in his mouth. A bone-chilling coolness immediately came from Xiao Chen's fiery body. The pain that was about to surpass his limits immediately decreased. The spirit freezing pill could not completely eliminate the pain, it could only slow it down. However, it was able to prevent Xiao Chen from fainting at this moment. It was very useful. The effects of the spirit freezing pill would not last for long. Xiao Chen continued to cultivate, preparing to break through this limit in one go. Every time he reached his limit, he would make a small breakthrough in the firmament body tempering art. Soon, the effects of the spirit freezing pill wore off. Xiao Chen immediately stopped cultivating. This was because the pain would cause him to faint. If he persisted, he would waste his cultivation time. Amidst the splashing water, Xiao Chen got up and walked out of the bathtub. He casually wiped off the medicinal liquid on his body. Xiao Chen clenched his fists tightly as he felt an extremely strong force. Kacha! Kacha! The bones in Xiao Chen's body crackled like beans being fried. A formless power spread out uncontrollably. The airflow in the room surged endlessly. Some of the ornaments suddenly shattered, turning into fragments that danced in the air. That was not all. An acupoint on the sole of Xiao Chen's right foot suddenly opened. As the green dragon chi spread, Xiao Chen felt that his right foot was filled with endless explosive power. Xiao Chen had a joyful expression as he said, "The firmament body tempering art has reached small perfection. My vital chi has increased by 50 tons of force. I finally managed to open another acupoint. In the future, my ability to break through defenses will increase by at least 20%. Looking back at the bathtub behind him, he found that the Longling ointment in it had almost been used up. After spending some effort, Xiao Chen poured out all the water and replaced it with fresh water. I can still use the Longling ointment 2 more times. With the blood refinement pill and the bright yellow flower, I should be able to reach the late stage of the firmament body tempering art's 6th layer. Finally, with the monarch blood grass and half a drop of dragon marrow, I should be able to reach the peak of the late stage of the firmament body tempering art's 6th layer." Xiao Chen muttered to himself before entering the bathtub again. Then, he sat down cross-legged and started cultivating. 10 days later, Xiao Chen had exhausted the spirit freezing pill, the Longling ointment, the blood refinement pill, and the yellow spirit flower. Everything was as he expected. The firmament body tempering art had reached the late stage of the firmament body tempering art's 6th layer. His vital chi had increased by 100 tons of force. Now, without using quintessence, Xiao Chen's total vital chi could reach 1,300,000 tons of force. He had not suffered for nothing in the past few days. The hundreds of thousands of medicinal pills he spent on medicinal pills had not gone to waste. Now, if he met Sidu Gang again, he would be able to put up a fight without using his quintessence. He would not be forced back by Sidu Gang's vast quintessence like before. Aside from his right foot, Xiao Chen also opened 2 of the acupoints on his left foot. There were 12 acupoints on each foot. For the sake of balance, Xiao Chen intended to open both feet at the same time. He did not want to end up with a strong explosive force in his right foot and an ordinary one in his left foot. That way, there would be fewer variations in combat, making it easy for his opponent to see through him. After leaving the cultivation room, Xiao Chen arrived at the courtyard. Then, he cautiously took out the half-drop of dragon marrow and the monarch blood grass. These 2 items were worth cities. Even now, Xiao Chen felt somewhat weak. He felt that this was a pie falling from the sky. It was simply inexcusable. However, no matter what, the reality was that these 2 items were in Xiao Chen's hands and could raise his strength. As for the rest, there was no point in thinking too much about it. In that case, there was no point in thinking about it. The monarch blood grass was golden in color, with only a scarlet line in the middle. The entire herb looked very ordinary, somewhat unworthy of its famous reputation. However, with Xiao Chen's sharp spiritual sense, he could sense the unique might of an ancient sovereign. Although it was already very faint, it clearly existed. The pressure it gave off was also very real. Nguyen Muyan had obtained the monarch blood grass in the savage battlefield, which was filled with danger and danger. According to rumor, a startling war had taken place there during the ancient era. For the sake of the human race, the ancient sovereigns had fought against the other races, the fiend race, the beast race, the half-fiend race, the half-demon race, and the deity race. All the experts of the various races who participated in the war were martial emperors of their races. The scale of that war was vast, indescribable with words. Once, the sky had 9 suns. After that war, only 1 sun remained. It was also after that war that the humans obtained the resource-rich Tianwu domain of the vast Kunlun realm. Then, they divided the territories of the other races. The cultivators who could become martial emperors were the overlords of the world, blessed with great luck. However, many of them died in that war. The monarch blood grass's original name was golden blood grass. It grew in many other places as well. Only the golden blood grass in the savage battlefield had been tainted by the blood of the ancient martial emperors. The golden blood grass that could not be burned to death by the sovereign's blood was the monarch blood grass that everyone saw today. Xiao Chen sat down cross-legged and used the purple flames to refine the monarch blood grass into liquid. Then, he swallowed it in one gulp and quickly circulated his quintessence, increasing the speed at which it spread through his blood. Chi! Chi! As the monarch blood grass flowed in, some of the impurities in Xiao Chen's blood seeped through his pores and turned into a faint azure smoke, scattering out strand by strand. At the same time, Xiao Chen's aura slowly changed. A tyrannical aura spread out. A strong wind blew in the courtyard, kicking up countless fallen leaves. The clouds churned endlessly. Mysterious phenomena appeared in the sky. As the wind blew and the clouds churned, it was like a sovereign had arrived. After 1 hour, Xiao Chen completely absorbed the trace of sovereign's bloodline in the monarch blood grass. Xiao Chen opened his eyes, and his sharp gaze was like a pair of powerful treasured sabers, boundlessly sharp. A boundless aura surged out, and the trees in the courtyard swayed wildly. The lush green grass all bent over, not daring to raise their heads. Xiao Chen moved slightly and stood up. His aura suddenly soared. Ka Xie. Under the pressure of this aura, the swaying tree broke in half. Countless bent green grass broke out of the ground. Then, they were crushed into bits and scattered in the air. With a thought, Xiao Chen withdrew his aura. The howling strong wind instantly stopped, and the grass that filled the air fell to the ground. That insufferably arrogant sovereign's aura also completely calmed down. However, this calmness was only temporary. As long as Xiao Chen willed it, it could erupt at any time. The trace of an ancient sovereign's bloodline is indeed strong. Now, I do not even fear the aura of a martial sage. As Xiao Chen looked at the chaotic scene in the courtyard, he thought to himself, just a trace of a diluted bloodline is already so mighty. In that case, how graceful were the ancient sovereign's bloodline? It really inspired one's imagination. Collecting his thoughts, Xiao Chen took out the other half-drop of dragon marrow. True dragon marrow was valuable as well. There were no longer any true dragons in the current martial epic. Only some true dragon skeletons from the immortal epic remained in some extremely dangerous remnants. This half-drop of dragon marrow was obtained by one of the Tianwu domain's 7 giants, Wang Meng, in an underground dragon grave after going through great danger. Wang Meng had always been reluctant to use it. Unexpectedly, he ended up benefiting Xiao Chen instead. Dragon marrow could penetrate deep into a cultivator's tough bones, changing the structure of the bones and strengthening their toughness. Its effects were several times better than those of a similar spirit herb. Xiao Chen took much longer to refine this half-drop of dragon marrow than to refine the monarch blood grass. He used half a day. After Xiao Chen's entire skeleton absorbed the energy in the dragon marrow, he underwent a drastic change. His physical defense increased by at least 20%. Compared to the increase in his aura, Xiao Chen preferred such a direct change. When Xiao Chen felt such a change, he felt dissatisfied. He said, "There is too little, only half a drop. In the future, when I am strong enough, I will definitely obtain some more dragon marrow and monarch blood grass." The monarch blood grass strengthened Xiao Chen's bloodline, allowing his aura to withstand the might of a martial sage. The half-drop of dragon marrow directly strengthened his physical defense. These two items allowed Xiao Chen to undergo a complete transformation. The benefits they brought could not be measured in spirit stones. While the natural treasures were still in effect, Xiao Chen cultivated the firmament body tempering art through the night. Finally, before the sun rose, Xiao Chen cultivated the firmament body tempering art to the peak of the 6th layer. Xiao Chen cultivated the firmament body tempering art to the peak of the 6th layer, and his vital qi increased by 50 tons of force. This marked a perfect end to his closed-door cultivation. The sun shone brightly, filling Xiao Chen's room with mottled light. He looked at the time in the hourglass. In the blink of an eye, it was already the start of the month. It is time to take on missions. This time, I have to make it to the top rank of the contribution ranking. Xiao Chen muttered to himself. His eyes gleamed with extreme confidence. He no longer feared anyone in the inner sect. The top rank of the contribution ranking would receive 500,000 superior grade spirit stones, 100 inferior grade spirit gathering pearls, and 10 medial grade spirit gathering pearls. Superior grade spirit stones and inferior grade spirit gathering pearls were still manageable. If Xiao Chen worked hard, he would be able to earn them. However, 10 medial grade spirit gathering pearls were hard to come by. Even if one had money, one would not be able to buy them. Xiao Chen had to obtain them. Xiao Chen had a premonition that inferior grade spirit gathering pearls would be useless to him when he wanted to break through to medial grade martial monarch from inferior grade martial monarch. Only medial grade spirit gathering pearls would do. Chapter 669. After leaving the door, Xiao Chen headed straight for the mission hall. The mission hall at the beginning of the month had very little traffic due to some unknown rules. Regular inner sect disciples had to wait until the 10th before they could accept missions. They had to let the veteran disciples and the giants pick first. Back then, when Xiao Chen defeated Gui Wu and fought with Sidu Gang, he did not seem to be at a disadvantage. His strength was already acknowledged long ago. Seeing Xiao Chen walk in with large strides, the expressions of those inner sect disciples fluctuated slightly before they calmed down. I want to accept missions to kill loose cultivators. Let me see those with more than 2,000 contribution points, Xiao Chen directly stated his request to the black-clad administrator. When the others heard this, shock filled their faces. Missions with more than 2,000 contribution points were extraordinarily difficult. Most importantly, those missions were monopolized by the inner sect's 5 giants and Yunfeiyu. These inner sect disciples had to be too busy or refuse to accept them. Otherwise, if Xiao Chen snatched their missions, the other party would definitely seek trouble for him in private. The black-clad administrator knew about this but did not care. Survival of the fittest. Whoever had the bigger fist was in the right. This was the rule of any sect in the first place. Going by the book, the black-clad administrator took out the mission list that Xiao Chen wanted. He said, missions with more than 3,000 contribution points can only be accepted by true inheritors. The rest are all here. Xiao Chen received the list and carefully looked through it. After eliminating the extremely time-consuming missions, he accepted a total of 10 missions. He said, "That's all." Xiao Chen, are you seeking death? How dare you snatch our missions? A furious shout came from outside the hall. It was the leaders of the inner sect's 5 factions. When Yu Jiqiang and the others received the news, they rushed over. Lan Feichen appeared the angriest. He strode over and grabbed the mission list in Xiao Chen's hand, not caring about Xiao Chen at all. A murderous intent flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. He casually placed the mission list behind him with his left hand and circulated his vital qi with his right hand. Bang! The palm landed on Lan Feichen's shoulder and a huge force surged out, sending the unprepared Lan Feichen flying. Everywhere Lan Feichen passed, the inner sect disciples on both sides were sent flying. His strength was unimaginable. Everyone was shocked, and their brains short-circuited. Lan Feichen, one of the leaders of the inner sect's 5 great factions, was actually sent flying by a casual palm strike from Xiao Chen. Outside the entrance, Yu Jiqiang and the others from the other 4 factions were all shocked. Although Lan Feichen had been careless and had not expected Xiao Chen to resist him in front of everyone, he had not expected Xiao Chen to resist him. However, with a casual push from Xiao Chen, he was sent flying. Furthermore, with such great force, he knocked away all the cultivators along the way. That was truly terrifying. Thud! By the time Lan Feichen reacted, he had already retreated 100 meters. His feet rubbed against the ground, producing a chi-chi sound. Lan Feichen's palm strike did not contain any offensive power. He only wanted to push Lan Feichen away. In reality, Lan Feichen did not suffer any damage. However, Xiao Chen humiliated him in front of everyone. Rage blazed in his heart. Who was he? To think that a newly advanced inner sect disciple humiliated him like that. How could he endure it? How dare you, Xiao Chen? You actually dare to push me. Before he could finish his words, a figure flashed in front of him. The shadow of a leg broke through the void with a whistling sound, attacking him from the side. Lan Feichen was greatly startled. He had not expected Xiao Chen to be so bold. First, Xiao Chen directly pushed him away. Now, before Lan Feichen finished speaking, Xiao Chen took the initiative to attack. Very well, you attacked first. Even if I cripple you today, there is no way for you to say anything. Lan Feichen steeled his heart and circulated his quintessence, preparing to deal the killing blow. However, Lan Feichen had somewhat underestimated Xiao Chen's kick. That kick was not supported by quintessence, saving him the effort to circulate his quintessence. When Lan Feichen circulated his quintessence and prepared to catch Xiao Chen off guard, he discovered that he no longer had an opportunity. He discovered that he no longer had a chance. If he continued to attack Xiao Chen would definitely kick him first. When Lan Feichen thought about Xiao Chen's physical body and how he dared to clash head-on with Sidu Gang's attack, he did not dare to be careless. Lan Feichen lowered his feet and gathered quintessence on his left hand, wanting to block this kick first. Whoosh! Xiao Chen smiled coldly in his heart, and the acupoint on his left foot opened. Instantly, a strong shockwave shot out from his foot. Then, he turned around in the air, instantly changing his position. Xiao Chen's right foot landed on Lan Feichen's left shoulder. A huge force instantly exploded out, catching Lan Feichen off guard. He had focused all his quintessence on his right arm, leaving his right shoulder defenseless. Paw! Lan Feichen fell to the ground from Xiao Chen's kick. The entire process happened in an instant. The crowd only saw Xiao Chen kick at Lan Feichen before he could finish speaking. Then, Lan Feichen circulated his quintessence in the direction of Xiao Chen's kick, preparing to block with his right arm to receive this kick. However, just when everyone thought that Xiao Chen's kick would be blocked, Lan Feichen fell to the ground in a sorry state. His aura instantly crumbled. You! How dare you kick me? I will kill you today. Blood leaked out of a corner of Lan Feichen's lips as he lay on the ground. He was somewhat stunned as he pointed at Xiao Chen and glared at him. Normally, when the inner sect disciples saw Lan Feichen, they would all treat him with respect. None of them were as unruly as Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen did not wait for Lan Feichen to finish speaking. Just as Lan Feichen was about to get up, Xiao Chen spun around in the air without touching the ground, ruthlessly kicking him back down. Chi! Chi! Xiao Chen did not stop exerting force. This kick not only caused Lan Feichen to fall to the ground again, but it also sent him sliding back 100 meters and crashing into the threshold. He even slid back 100 meters before crashing heavily onto the door sill and spitting out another mouthful of blood. You actually dare to kick me again? I will kill you. Lan Feichen was so enraged that he no longer panicked. All his quintessence surged as he stood up and charged at Xiao Chen. Yu Jiqiang and the others outside the door reacted. They all snorted coldly and attacked together. Wind immediately surged in the mission hall, and strong winds howled endlessly. Stop! This is the mission hall. If you want to seek a personal grudge, go somewhere else. When the black-clad administrator saw that the matter was getting out of hand, he shouted ferociously and sent out a palm strike. It was like he was pushing a mountain in the air. Yu Jiqiang and the other four who were flying over let out muffled groans as they were pushed back by the palm wind. Lan Feichen did not feel satisfied in his heart. He adjusted his breathing and pointed at Xiao Chen. He said to the black-clad administrator agitatedly, Lord Administrator, you have to see this clearly. We are not the ones causing trouble. This brat made the first move. The black-clad administrator said coldly, I saw it very clearly. You broke the rules and snatched his mission list. That's why he made a move. Furthermore, he did not use any quintessence. He only knocked you back in advance. Lan Feichen argued, that's not right. From the start to the end, I never truly made a move. He was the one who made a move. How laughable. The black-clad administrator smiled coldly and said, it is not that you did not want to make a move. It is just that you did not have a chance to. Since you already decided to make a move, why are you still being so wishy-washy? Do you think that a battle between cultivators is child's play? You were beaten up so badly that you could not retaliate, losing all your face. Yet, you still have the cheek to stand here and reason with me? I really feel ashamed for you." The others in the hall felt that the old man's words made sense. This Lon Fachin thought too highly of himself. He thought that with his prestige, the other party would not dare to make a move. Even after being knocked back by Xiao Chen, Lon Fachin still harbored the illusion that he could use his prestige to scare off Xiao Chen. If he had used his true strength from the start, he would not have lost so much face. Do you really think that you are some incredible person, that others have to listen to you? If you really think that he snatched your mission list, you can settle your personal grudges outside. As long as one is capable, anyone can take the mission here. The black-clad administrator did not show any mercy, reprimanding Lon Fachin again. Lon Fachin's complexion alternated between green and red. The scolding made him feel ashamed. He could no longer suppress the injuries in his body, causing him to vomit another mouthful of blood. As Lon Fachin looked at Xiao Chen, he hated that he could not immediately charge forward and kill him. This time, he had completely lost to Xiao Chen, losing all his face. Yu Jiqiang thought for a while and gave Xiao Chen a meaningful look. Then, he said, "Come, let's leave first." With the black-clad administrator around, Lon Fachin knew that he could not do anything to Xiao Chen today. So he could only leave the mission hall with a hateful expression. As Xiao Chen watched them leave, he did not think too much about it. If he wanted to obtain the first rank, he would definitely offend these people. The other party would not back down, so Xiao Chen would not back down either. A conflict was unavoidable. Since that was the case, there was no need to waste words with these people. He would just start fighting. After receiving the mission, Xiao Chen said to the black-clad administrator, "Many thanks for senior's help." The black-clad administrator remained expressionless as he said calmly, "Even if I did not make a move, you would have dealt with it. There is no need to thank me. Furthermore, the inner sect has been like a pool of stagnant water for many years. I hope that there will be more people like you, the better." Xiao Chen did not find it strange that the other party could roughly see his bottom line. As for the last sentence, Xiao Chen did not care much about it. After saying that casually, he prepared to leave. "Wait for a while. You will not be able to surpass Yun Feiyu with the missions you have on hand. I'll give you a mission worth 3,000 contribution points. Do you dare to accept it?" Xiao Chen was stunned for a while before saying, "Didn't you say that only true inheritors can take on missions worth 3,000 contribution points and above?" The black-clad administrator said indifferently, "There are always exceptions to everything. In the past, the exception was Yun Feiyu. Now, there is another. You can take a look at the details of the mission yourself. Whether you accept it or not is up to you. I will not interfere." Xiao Chen received the mission list and looked through it. He could not help but frown. The difficulty and risk of this mission were too high. However, the rewards and contribution points were startling as well. "All right, I will accept this mission as well." Xiao Chen had always been a decisive person. He was very firm on his goals, so he quickly made his decision. A light flashed in the black-clad administrator's eyes. He smiled faintly as if he had expected this to happen. Xiao Chen turned around and walked out of the door. The other inner sect disciples in the hall all looked at him and gave way, automatically opening a path for him. Earlier, Xiao Chen had not said a single word. He had only used his actions to prove himself, beating Lon Fachin into a sorry state. Although Lon Fachin had been careless, just Xiao Chen's courage alone left them in the dust. Normally, when the leaders of the 5 factions swept their gazes over, they would be frightened to death and obediently hand over their spirit-gathering pearls. Chapter 670. Although this Xiao Chen is very awe-inspiring now, he offended the people of the 5 factions. In the future, it will be hard for him to settle this peacefully. Earlier, he offended Situ Gang and Gue Wu. Now, he offended these 5 people. This Xiao Chen is really fearless. After Xiao Chen left, the people in the hall started discussing in low voices. After leaving the hall, Xiao Chen glanced at Yu Jiqiang and the other four standing guard outside. Then, he paused for a moment before leaving without looking back. As Lan Feichen watched Xiao Chen leave, the rage in his eyes looked like it would spew out at any moment. "Senior brother Yu, are we just going to let him leave like that? You all saw his ambition. He clearly wants to fight for the first rank on the contribution ranking and push us down," Lan Feichen said hatefully. The other three nodded, agreeing with Lan Feichen's opinion. Then, they all looked at Yu Jiqiang. Yu Jiqiang replied indifferently, "What else can we do but let him leave? After all, this is still the inner sect. We cannot be too heavy-handed. It is just scratching an itch, there is no point. Then what should we do? We can't just watch this fellow rise up step by step," Lan Feichen said anxiously. A cold light flashed in Yu Jiqiang's eyes. He smiled sinisterly and said, "Naturally not. In the following month, we will not accept any missions. Hand over all the inferior grade spirit gathering pearls that you have accumulated. I will help you exchange them for medial grade spirit gathering pearls. All of you will enter closed door cultivation for 1 month and do your best to raise your cultivation to peak late stage medial grade martial monarch. When he returns, we will deal a fatal blow to him outside the city gates and snatch away all the proof of his missions." After saying that, a sinister expression flashed on Yu Jiqiang's face. He said, "Ha! I really want to see his expression when he receives the sect's punishment after failing all the 2,000 contribution point missions." The eyes of the other four lit up. They all felt that this plan was indescribably wonderful. They did not need to kill Xiao Chen and bear the crime of killing a fellow sect member. Furthermore, they could deal a fatal blow to him. In the sect, the punishment for failing a mission was extremely severe. The higher the reward of a mission, the heavier the punishment for failure. All the missions that Xiao Chen accepted required at least 2,000 contribution points. If he failed all the missions, the combined punishment would be sufficient to strip him of his cultivation in the Haotian sect and expel him from the sect. Suddenly, Feng Wuheng thought of another problem. With a suspicious expression, he asked, "Senior brother Yu, where did you get the means to exchange inferior grade spirit gathering pearls for medial grade spirit gathering pearls? You won't let us suffer a loss, right?" At their cultivation, they could no longer use inferior grade spirit Chen to break through bottlenecks, they could only rely on Feng with spirit. Spirit Chen Feng and Spirit Xiao Qian Yun Chen Feng and Qi was to say, spirit of Xiao Yun with Chen Tu, Yun Chen Xiao Chen of Chen Xiao and Chen and Tu, of Chen of Ling Tu, of Chen Tu, he to Chen. Hence, Xiao Chen found it strange that Yu Jiqiang could use inferior grade spirit gathering pearls to exchange for medial grade spirit gathering pearls. Furthermore, he was worried that Yu Jiqiang would have to sacrifice himself to exchange for medial grade spirit gathering pearls. That would be too much of a loss. Hence, Feng Wuheng found it strange that Yu Jiqiang could use inferior grade spirit gathering spirit beads to exchange for medial grade spirit gathering spirit beads. Furthermore, with senior brother Hua's backing, we are not afraid of offending senior brother Chen for Xiao Chen. The true inheritors are also split into 2 factions. Senior brother Hua's faction happens to be senior brother Chen's enemy. With senior brother Hua's backing, we are not afraid of offending senior brother Chen for Xiao Chen. The others no longer questioned Xiao Chen's plan. They all felt that it was feasible. They could enter closed-door cultivation to break through bottlenecks and wait for Xiao Chen to return before dealing him a lightning-fast strike, snatching away the proof of completing the mission. This was a perfect plan. Yu Jiqiang continued, "Even if he manages to escape from us and obtain the first rank, Yun Feiyu will not let him off. Yun Feiyu is even more ruthless than us. How could he let a newcomer ride on his head? No matter what, this Xiao Chen is destined to never rise up. We will forever suppress him." Xiao Chen could guess the schemes of the others. However, he did not think too much about it. Aside from the mysterious Yun Feiyu, he did not fear anyone else in the inner sect. In the face of absolute power, any scheme would be futile. As long as he continued to strengthen his own strength, it would be enough to achieve the goal in his heart. This trip would take a long time, and there would be many unpredictable dangers. Xiao Chen exchanged the quintessence-gathering pills and other rank 8 medicinal pills that he had no use for superior-grade spirit stones. After that, Xiao Chen went to the inner city and chose some rank 8 medicinal pills that he could use in battle. He bought 3 medicinal pills that could quickly replenish quintessence, 3 medicinal pills for treating injuries, and a bottle of antidote pills. After making all his preparations, Xiao Chen spent all the spirit stones he had on him. He held the 3,000 contribution point mission slip in his hand. Xiao Chen encouraged himself in his heart as he set off. The 2,000 contribution point mission required him to kill loose cultivators. The difficulty of the mission was higher than that of the 7 Black Wind Killers. However, they were mostly within the same cultivation realm and would not be too far apart. However, the 3,000 contribution point mission required him to kill loose cultivators. These loose cultivators were not small bandits that only roamed the nearby provinces but true great bandits. Great bandits were everywhere in the 108 provinces of the Tianwu domain. They moved about everywhere, and their tracks were hard to track. Normally, these bandits would not cause a ruckus or rob a small city or a small clan. That did not match their status or the way they did things. Often, they would not leave the mountain for half a year. When they did, they would do something big and then disappear without a trace. They would enter closed-door cultivation for 1 or 2 years before coming out again. They were far more troublesome than the 7 Black Wind Killers. Loose cultivators were also known as evil cultivators. In the entire Tianwu domain, there were no more than 100 loose cultivators that could be called great bandits. Because of this, the mysterious intelligence organization made a list of evil cultivators and listed all the famous bandits in it. This time, Xiao Chen's 3,000 contribution point mission required him to kill a great bandit ranked 96th, the loose cultivator known as Lone Wolf. According to the information on the mission list, Lone Wolf was a peak medial grade martial monarch. He was a half-fiend and possessed the blood of the white wolf race. His physical body was outstanding and he could turn into a fiend at any time. By relying on his half-fiend body, regular late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs would not last more than 100 moves against Lone Wolf. Furthermore, the baleful aura that Lone Wolf had accumulated far surpassed that of the 7 Black Wind Killers. His baleful aura could already turn solid. Just one look from him could frighten others. The various and negative emotions formed by the baleful aura could enter a cultivator's sea of consciousness and turn into all sorts of illusions. They were extremely difficult to deal with. The other sects probably received news of Lone Wolf coming out of closed-door cultivation. Aside from Lone Wolf, the disciples of the other sects are my greatest enemies. Xiao Chen thought to himself, sometimes, the disciples of the righteous sects are even scarier than loose cultivators. 5 days later, Xiao Chen used the transportation formation to cross several provinces. Finally, he arrived at the smallest of the 18 southern provinces, Qiushui Prefecture. Although Qiushui Prefecture was the smallest, it was about half the size of the Sky Dome realm's Great Qin nation. A rank 7 sect managed Qiushui Prefecture. The sect leader was only a half-sage. With such a sect, it was easy to imagine how much control they had over the many cities in the prefecture. This was also an opportunity for bandits like the White Wolf to take advantage of. This time, Xiao Chen received news that the White Wolf was preparing to come out of closed-door cultivation and make a move on the second-largest city in Qiushui Prefecture, Heavenly Water City's city lord's residence. Heavenly Water City had several rare mines and controlled a merchant river. There were also a few rank 2 spirit veins. Although there were no precious treasures, there were some low-grade treasures that reached a horrifying number. If Xiao Chen plundered all of them, his harvest would be considerable. For example, 1 million medial-grade spirit stones was nothing. However, 10 million or 20 million medial-grade spirit stones were enough to make several sect disciples jealous. Xiao Chen withdrew his aura and went to an inn closest to the city lord's residence in Heavenly Water City. He was not in a rush to check in. Instead, he ordered some food and wine to reward himself. The inn had 4 floors and a spacious hall in the middle. One could see the roof. Xiao Chen sat on the 3rd floor and could see the people on the floors above and below. As Xiao Chen ate, he felt several probing auras sweep over him. These probing people were not simple. The weakest among them was a late-stage medial-grade martial monarch. Several of them were even peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs. Although late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs and peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs differed by only 1 grade, the difference in strength was huge. If Xiao Chen fought a late-stage medial-grade martial monarch, he had a 70% chance of victory. However, if he fought a peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch, he only had a 50% chance of victory. He had to be extra careful. Naturally, there was no reason for so many experts to come to the insignificant Heavenly Water City. There could only be one reason: their purpose was the same as Xiao Chen's. While Xiao Chen seemed to be casually eating and drinking, he carefully scanned all the peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs with his spiritual sense, not missing a single one. Although Xiao Chen withdrew his aura, he had not learned any martial techniques to hide his strength. These martial monarchs were also medial-grade martial monarchs. When they used their spiritual sense, they quickly discovered his cultivation. A late-stage inferior-grade martial monarch is not worth mentioning. The masters of these gazes withdrew their gazes and revealed disdainful expressions, no longer paying attention to Xiao Chen. Even early-stage medial-grade martial monarchs would not be enough to kill Lone Wolf. They needed a peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch to lead them. A lone middle-stage inferior-grade martial monarch would be seeking death. Xiao Chen took note of these people's expressions. He smiled faintly to himself and ignored them. Then, he continued sizing up the peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs. A man in gorgeous black embroidered clothes sat at a table by the window on the 3rd floor. He looked elegant and handsome, and he gave off an extraordinary aura. He was a peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch. There were 2 people on each side of this man, both late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs. The entire team was very strong. There was a similar group at a table on the 4th floor. The person leading this group was a yellow-clad girl. She looked very pretty and gave off a stunning aura. She was also a peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch. Aside from the Haotian sect, there were 2 other large factions in the 18 southern provinces, the 9 ranks of the Great Families, the Full Moon Pavilion and the Thousand Mystery sect. If Xiao Chen guessed correctly, the man in black embroidered clothes should be from the Full Moon Pavilion, and the yellow-clad girl should be from the Thousand Mystery sect. They were the peak inner sect disciples of their respective factions. Chapter 671. Aside from these 2 strongest teams, there were 3 weaker teams, made up of several late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs. These teams should be from rank 8 sects like the Rising Sky Pavilion in the 18 southern provinces. In their sects, one could become a true inheritor once they reached peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs. True inheritors did not lack resources. They would not risk their lives to kill bandits for medial-grade spirit-gathering pearls. However, among these cultivators with high cultivations, the one that caught Xiao Chen's attention was a lone, white-haired cultivator. This white-haired cultivator had a faint scar on his face. He also wore white clothes, and his aura was simple and clean, appearing very peaceful. However, Xiao Chen detected a hidden ruthlessness in the depths of this white-haired cultivator's eyes. This aura was completely different from the aura he displayed. If not for Xiao Chen's mental energy being much stronger than that of regular cultivators, he would not have noticed this strange thing. This person was also a peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch. Furthermore, based on his aura, he was no weaker than the black-clad man or the yellow-clad woman. Xiao Chen calmly paid the bill and asked for a room. After he took a bath, he immediately started using the spirit-gathering pearls to cultivate. Night arrived quietly. The bright moon hung high in the sky, sending down its radiance. The entire world was quiet and serene. Dong! 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 Knocking came from outside the room. Xiao Chen opened his eyes and stopped cultivating. Then, he opened the door and went out. At this moment, one of the yellow-clad woman's team stood outside the door. She was also a pretty azure-clad woman. She smiled gracefully and said, "This young master should be an elite disciple of the Haotian sect, right?" Under the moonlight, this woman looked extremely beautiful when she smiled. There was a flirtatious look on her face that tugged at one's heartstrings. This woman must have cultivated some kind of charm technique. As she spoke, she silently executed it. However, this was useless against Xiao Chen. Her charm technique was far inferior to Ling Yu's. Using a charm technique on her for no reason was no different from attacking her. Xiao Chen's eyes narrowed, and his spiritual sense shook to break this woman's charm technique. He said rudely, "Don't use these little tricks on me again. If you have something to say, just say it. If not, don't come and disturb my cultivation." The azure-robed woman took a step back. Her complexion was somewhat unsightly after her charm technique was broken. She was very dissatisfied with Xiao Chen's reaction. This fellow was clearly only an inferior grade martial monarch. However, he was not polite when he spoke. However, Xiao Chen's expression did not change. He smiled and said, "Naturally, there is something for me to visit so late at night. If I guessed right, you should be here for Lone Wolf." Xiao Chen did not deny it. He nodded lightly and waited to see what the other party had to say. In that case, it will be easy to deal with Lone Wolf. Full Moon Pavilion's young master Qiu Yi and our Thousand Fantasy Sect senior sister Zhuo Ping want to gather everyone's strength to deal with him. As for Lone Wolf's head, when the time comes, everyone will fight for it based on their own abilities, so as to avoid unnecessary trouble. The azure-robed woman spoke in a leisurely manner, extending an invitation to Xiao Chen. Of the teams that came, these two clans were the strongest. Their joint invitation was more of a threat than anything else. If Xiao Chen did not agree, to prevent Xiao Chen from causing trouble, they might deal with him first. If Xiao Chen agreed and the battle ended, these two clans would have the highest chance of obtaining the proof of completion. Given this, the other teams would be unable to take advantage of the situation. Xiao Chen smiled bitterly to himself. This was an overt scheme. Even though Xiao Chen knew the other party's scheme, he had no choice but to agree. Otherwise, he would not even have the chance to continue playing. Following the azure-robed woman, Xiao Chen arrived at a balcony on the top floor of the inn. The 5 teams and other factions that he saw during the day were all gathered here. The white-haired cultivator that Xiao Chen paid special attention to stood in a corner, appearing extremely calm. When the man in luxurious black clothes saw Xiao Chen arrive, he immediately walked over and smiled warmly. "This brother, I am the Full Moon Pavilion's Qiu Yi. Welcome to the team." At the same time, he introduced the other people in the team to Xiao Chen. When the white-haired man was introduced, he said, "This is Brother Zhongli from the north. Like you, he is also a bladesman. He is very skilled at saber techniques." After Xiao Chen introduced himself, he stood alone in a corner and looked at the city lord's residence below. The defenses of the city lord's residence were not particularly strong. It seemed like they had not received any news. Under the illumination of the full moon, everything was very calm. "I wonder if Lone Wolf will come tonight. He attacked for the past few nights. We spent a lot of effort to repel him. We absolutely cannot let him escape today." 2 people in the team conversed softly. When Xiao Chen heard this, he was startled. He had not expected Lone Wolf to appear so early. The leader, Qiu Yi, said, "Everyone, be careful today. Lone Wolf has the blood of the white wolf race. During the full moon, he will be several times stronger. He will not be easy to deal with tonight." Boom! Right after Qiu Yi spoke, a black figure quickly flew over from the distant horizon under the golden full moon. A baleful aura spread out from this figure, and a horrifying aura rose and fell like the vast sea. Even from a distance, one could feel it clearly, causing one's hair to tremble. "He's here." Everyone's expressions changed as they perked up at the same time. "Xiao! Xiao!" The eyes of Qiu Yi and Zhuo Ping lit up. They immediately led their companions and leaped off the roof, quickly flying towards Lone Wolf. The others took a deep breath and revealed excited expressions. Then, they flew off one after another. The white-haired cultivator, Zhongli, glanced at Xiao Chen and said, "Brother Xiao, we are both alone. How about we travel together?" Xiao Chen smiled gently and said, "That is exactly what I was thinking." Several dozen black figures flashed in the calm night. A strong killing chi spread out, filling the air with a cold and somber intent under the bright full moon. Bang! 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 At the very front, Qiu Yi and Zhuo Ping had already made a move to block Lone Wolf. An intense battle immediately broke out in the sky. All sorts of horrifying forces burst out with five-colored lights in the dark night. Heavy explosions rang out continuously in the night. Before Xiao Chen and Zhongli could rush over, they saw some weaker cultivators trying to help get knocked back. When Xiao Chen got closer, he discovered that Lone Wolf, who wore black leather armor, wore a mask on his face. He could not see his appearance clearly. Fighting 1 against 2, Lone Wolf faced Qiu Yi's and Zhuo Ping's sharp attacks. His defense was impenetrable. Occasionally, he could pull back his hand and easily block the attacks of the others. As Lone Wolf leaped up and down, he occasionally caught hold of an unlucky cultivator's weakness. Then, he used his baleful aura to attack them and severely injure them in an instant. Everyone's expressions turned somewhat unsightly. Tonight's Lone Wolf was indeed as Qiu Yi had said, he was much stronger than the night before. Xiao Chen looked to the side and saw Zhongli staring at the battle in front of him. He looked extremely engrossed. Zhongli's expression did not seem to be wrong. However, Xiao Chen keenly noticed that Zhongli was not focusing on Lone Wolf. Instead, Zhongli was staring at Qiu Yi and Zhuo Ping. It was like he was analyzing their fighting styles and unique martial techniques. "Brother Xiao, it is time for us to make a move." Seeing that Xiao Chen had noticed him, Zhongli withdrew his gaze and smiled faintly. A thick saber appeared in his hand as he charged at Lone Wolf first. Zhongli's thick saber sent out a white icy saber chi. Under the restraint of saber intent, the state of ice did not leak out at all. In the night, the dense white saber chi looked like a line descending from the sky, piercing through Qiu Yi and Zhuo Ping. The saber chi accurately struck Lone Wolf's body. Ice spread out, and in an instant, Lone Wolf was completely frozen. When Xiao Chen saw this saber strike, a strange light flashed in his eyes. He exclaimed in shock, "A perfect 50% comprehended saber intent." Qiu Yi was even more astonished. He had not expected this Zhongli to be hiding his strength. However, this was not the time to be thinking about this. The sword in Qiu Yi's right hand trembled, and a flame spread out. A quintessence bird in high spirits flew out from the sword with a cry. The bird gave off a bright golden light. Every feather of the bird burned with a blazing flame. As it flapped its wings, heat waves surged into the sky, completely eliminating the cold of the night. As the bird flapped its wings, rings of formless flames appeared in the air, spreading out like ripples. The power of the ripples was extremely terrifying. As they vibrated, the entire space trembled. The expressions of the others changed. They immediately understood what Qiu Yi was trying to do. He wanted to use the opportunity while Lone Wolf was sealed in ice to knock everyone back. After that, he would snatch the other party's head and obtain proof of completion. The logic was very clear. However, not many people dared to clash head-on with the formless flame ripples. They could only retreat helplessly for now. The pretty Zhuo Ping snorted coldly and thrust the thin sword in her hand forward. The tip of the sword released a dazzling light. The surging ripples immediately parted. The tip of the sword clashed with the ripples, creating countless resplendent flames. Under the bright moonlight, the flames were as beautiful as starlight. Although Zhuo Ping blocked the flame ripples, she was delayed. She could only watch as Qiu Yi charged at Lone Wolf with the golden flaming bird. Ka Xie. Just at this moment, countless cracks appeared on the originally smooth and precipitous ice sculpture. Lone Wolf instantly regained his freedom. When Lone Wolf saw the golden flaming bird flying over, he roared ferociously. His right arm swelled up continuously. His sleeve instantly tore, revealing a werewolf's arm. quintessence containing fiend energy gathered in his transformed hand. Then, he punched. Bang! Bang! In the silence of the night, two loud explosions resounded as the giant flaming bird was smashed to pieces. It was like a golden bright fireball had turned into countless flames in the dark night, scattering in all directions. Qiu Yi's killing move was forcefully broken. His expression was somewhat unsightly as he vomited a mouthful of blood and retreated several hundred meters. However, Lone Wolf was in an even more sorry state than Qiu Yi. The energy from the explosion blasted his transformed arm into a mangled mess. Even the bones were visible. One of his arms was temporarily crippled. However, Lone Wolf took advantage of this opportunity to fly back a kilometer, quickly fleeing out of the city. After him! We can't let him escape again! Zhua Ping shouted. Then, she led the 1,000 mystery sects people and quickly gave chase. Chapter 672. Xiao. However, there were two white figures that were even faster than them. Xiao Chen and Zhongli had arrived the instant the intense explosion occurred. The instant the intense explosion occurred, they both somersaulted and executed their exquisite movement techniques, dodging the shock wave and flying forward. Their figures shot out like arrows, tearing through the sky. The two of them chased after the fleeing Lone Wolf. When the two were about to reach the city gates, Lone Wolf suddenly stopped and turned around. Suddenly, his undamaged left hand transformed into a wolf claw and smashed at Zhongli. Zhongli, who was in hot pursuit, did not expect Lone Wolf to be so crafty. Despite fleeing in such a panic, Lone Wolf still dared to stop and fight. Zhongli quickly raised his saber and formed a screen of saber light filled with ice. However, the strength of Lone Wolf's transformed arm clearly surpassed that of a peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch. The sharp claws tore through the screen of saber light and tore through Zhongli's protective quintessence. Then, they left 5 horrifying claw marks on Zhongli's chest and knocked him back. Lone Wolf's horrifying strength was astonishing. It was not that Lone Wolf could not put up a fight. It was just that his arm was injured and he did not want to take the risk. Lone Wolf's masked face revealed only a pair of scarlet eyes. After knocking back Zhongli, he turned around and the baleful aura in his eyes turned solid, heading toward Xiao Chen and entering Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness. Then, Lone Wolf laughed maniacally and sent out a pitch-black quintessence palm with his left hand at Xiao Chen. It was like Lone Wolf was certain that, given Xiao Chen's cultivation, Xiao Chen would die without a doubt. After doing all this, Lone Wolf once again fled out of the city without looking back. The mental energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness surged and roared. It shattered the various illusions of the other party's baleful aura, causing them to vanish. The baleful aura of loose cultivators, which made the sect disciples tremble in fear, was useless before Xiao Chen. A resplendent saber light lit up in the dark night. Xiao Chen held the lunar shadow saber and sent out a dense electric saber chi. The electric light exploded out and shattered the quintessence beast claw flying at him. Zhongli, whose chest was injured, fell to the ground in a sorry state. When he saw this scene, he frowned slightly. An imperceptible cold light flashed in his eyes as he looked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense had been paying attention to Zhongli's expression. When he saw this scene, he seemed to understand something. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber. When he saw that Lone Wolf was not difficult to catch up to, he gave up on giving chase. Damn it, he escaped again. The rest of the troops caught up. When they saw that Lone Wolf was only a small black dot left, they all cursed. The somewhat pale Qiu Yi revealed a contemplative light in his eyes. He said, "Let's return to the inn first. Everyone should recuperate." On the rooftop, the original members of the team gathered together again. After checking, he found that several martial artists had suffered serious internal injuries and needed to recuperate for a long time. They would definitely not be able to fight for the next few days. Thus, the strength of the team had been weakened. This Lone Wolf is really crafty. If he does this every day, our team will be weakened again tomorrow. He has a half-face body. He recovers much faster than us. If this drags on, we will not be able to hold on. Everyone analyzed the results of the battle. They all felt somewhat dispirited. It looked like Lone Wolf's harassment over the past few days had greatly damaged their mental states. Zhuo Ping said, I feel that this Lone Wolf is becoming more and more familiar with Qiu Yi's and my moves. It is like when we fought, he could see our attacks from every angle. It is getting easier for him to deal with our combined attacks. At the start, he did not have any spare energy to attack the others. Qiu Yi nodded and said, I feel the same way. Perhaps his comprehension ability is astonishing. However, this is not the time to think about this. We do not have many chances left. Lone Wolf is extremely cautious. He will only appear for 5 days. Tomorrow is the last day. If we cannot take him down by then, he will disappear again. After saying that, Qiu Yi looked up at the silent Xiao Chen. He said, Brother Xiao, I saw that you easily broke Lone Wolf's baleful aura. Do you have any good ideas? Following Qiu Yi's reminder, everyone recalled Lone Wolf's baleful aura. Xiao Chen had not been affected at all. This person was definitely not as simple as he looked. Xiao Chen smiled gently and shrugged. I was just lucky. I do not have any good ideas. Ask Brother Zhongli. He sealed Lone Wolf with one saber strike. Zhongli smiled bitterly and said, that was also because young Master Qiu and Miss Zhuo delayed Lone Wolf. That was how I had the opportunity to seal Lone Wolf. Just look at the wound on my chest, and you will know the result. Seeing that the two were unwilling to say more, Qiu Yi did not ask any further. He discussed the arrangements for tomorrow night before announcing that everyone should go back and rest. After the others left, Qiu Yi said to Zhuo Ping, those two fellows are not simple. Qiu Yi did not say their names, but Zhuo Ping knew who he was talking about. She smiled and said, I don't know whether they are simple or not. I only know that you are not simple. You have not even killed them, and you are already thinking of burning the bridge after crossing it. Qiu Yi smiled unconcernedly and said, tomorrow is our last chance. The two of us cannot hold back anymore. We cannot give the two of them any chances. The moon hung high in the sky like a silver plate. After the huge battle, the night sky of Heavenly Water City returned to normal. Perhaps some of the cultivators in the city could sense the horrifying energy fluctuations from earlier. However, to this small city, cultivators at the level of Xiao Chen's group were not people they could come into contact with. Even if they knew, they would not dare to have any thoughts about it. If they were not careful, they might lose their lives. As for the ordinary citizens, they had already fallen asleep. To them, that was a distant world. It would be difficult for it to interact with their lives. The lamp in the guest room flickered. Xiao Chen did not cultivate, nor was he in the mood to sleep. He thought about what he had seen today and came up with a vague answer in his heart. Xiao Chen searched the universe ring for a long time before he finally found what he was looking for. With a flip of his palm, half a piece of spirit wood appeared in his hand. The spirit wood was a branch of an ancient spirit tree, the Wudong tree. Xiao Chen vaguely remembered that he still had some spirit wood. Indeed, he had found it. Revealing a faint smile, Xiao Chen took out a carving knife and carefully carved the spirit wood, which was only half the length of his palm. The flickering light from the lamp illuminated Xiao Chen's delicate and fair face, making him look very focused. Bits and pieces of spirit wood fell with the rise and fall of the carving knife. However, these bits of wood did not turn into dust or soil like they usually did. Instead, they turned into motes of crystalline light that drifted into the guest room. The enchanting light was very bright and dazzling, making the simple guest room look like a dream. Xiao Chen was completely focused, not paying attention to his surroundings. In his eyes, there was only the wooden sculpture in his palm. His mind was calm, there was nothing else. When the wooden sculpture was completely formed, Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. He felt incredibly dizzy, so he checked the mental energy in his sea of consciousness. Just a simple wooden sculpture had actually exhausted most of his mental energy. No wonder he felt even more tired than fighting. The wooden sculpture was of Xiao Chen himself. He wore white clothes and had a saber hanging at his waist. His eyes were intelligent and clear, like a miniature version of himself. Spirituality and temperament are sufficient. It still lacks a bit of life. Xiao Chen thought for a while and sent a drop of essence blood into the wooden sculpture. In that instant, a spiritual light flashed in the wooden sculpture's eyes, and red blood flowed through its body. It was like real blood flowed through the blood vessels in its body. This wooden sculpture was no longer an inanimate object. Only at this moment did Xiao Chen reveal a satisfied smile. He looked around and discovered the dreamy motes of light in the room. He smiled gently and said, unexpectedly, after not practicing for a long time, my carving skills have improved. It looks like carving also tests one's mental state. For the sake of this small wooden sculpture, Xiao Chen had exhausted too much mental energy. He did not waste any more time and circulated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation to recover his mental energy. Xiao Chen only recovered his mental energy when the sky turned dark the next day. After making some preparations, he opened the door and met up with Qiu Yi and the others. "Hey, is that Brother Xiao?" The moment Xiao Chen left the room, he ran into Zhongli, who was also going to the roof. The white-haired, white-robed Zhongli had already recovered from his injuries and looked very spirited. Xiao Chen turned around and smiled. "Brother Zhongli, are you looking for me?" Zhongli carefully sized up Xiao Chen. He felt that today's Xiao Chen was somewhat different from yesterday. However, he could not pinpoint what was different. Zhongli collected his thoughts and smiled gently. "It's fine. If I did not see wrong, Brother Zhao's saber strike last night should have grasped a perfect 40% comprehended saber intent. At such a young age, you already have such comprehension abilities. You are truly admirable." These words were not just flattery. Xiao Chen looked like he was only 21 years old. In the Kunlun realm, where 30-odd years old were considered youths, 21 years old was considered very young. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, "It is just a 40% comprehended saber intent. How can it compare to Brother Zhongli's perfect 50% comprehended saber intent? Furthermore, you have the state of ice that surpasses the limits." After one state reached the limits, it was extremely difficult to raise it to a will. If one wanted to increase the might of one's state, one had to think of other methods. The extreme Yin sect's Wan Feng's secret technique and Xiao Chen's immortal state of thunder were similar methods. Clearly, this Zhongli had grasped such a secret technique as well. A proud look flashed in Zhongli's eyes. He said, "I am just a few years older than you. We are both bladesmen. If there is a chance, we should exchange pointers with each other." "I would be delighted to. I have long wanted to exchange pointers with bladesmen of the same generation," Xiao Chen replied calmly without changing his expression. When Zhongli saw Xiao Chen's serious appearance, he felt some disdain in his heart. A perfect 50% comprehended saber intent was much stronger than a 40% comprehended saber intent. Zhongli's state and cultivation were both stronger than Xiao Chen's. Did Xiao Chen really think that he could compare to him? As the two spoke, they arrived at the rooftop. The peak inner sect disciple of the Full Moon Pavilion, Qiu Yi, and the peak inner sect disciple of the Thousand Mystery sect, Zhuoping, had been waiting there for a long time already. The moon was round on the 15th. Tonight's moon was indeed rounder and larger than the previous night. As the bright light shone down, it made Heavenly Water City appear gentle and peaceful. No matter how beautiful the moon was, no one was in the mood to appreciate it. They all stood at the side lazily, resting for the final battle. Chapter 673. Seeing that everyone was present, Qiu Yi said, "Tonight is our last chance. This is also Lone Wolf's last chance. I hope everyone will not hold back. Otherwise, you might lose your lives. Zhuoping and I have discussed it. We have decided that no matter who obtains the proof of completion, Lone Wolf's treasures will be given to everyone else." Right after Qiu Yi spoke, the eyes of the others lit up. Someone immediately smiled and said, "That is good. Even if we do not obtain any contribution points, Lone Wolf's treasures will be more than enough to make up for our losses. This suggestion is pretty good. We agree. The others all agreed. They knew that with Zhuoping and Qiu Yi working together, there was no chance for them to fish in troubled waters. If they could obtain Lone Wolf's treasures, they would make a huge profit. Qiu Yi shifted his gaze to the silent Zhongli. He asked, "What does Brother Zhongli think?" Zhongli let out a meaningful chuckle and said, "I will obey young Master Qiu's orders." As for the silent Shao Chen, everyone ignored him. They believed that as an inferior-grade martial monarch, he would not reject this suggestion. Good. In that case, it is agreed. When Lone Wolf appears, we will not say anything and immediately use our killing moves. Qiu Yi was in high spirits. He said in a magnificent manner, "We will kill Lone Wolf in one move, not giving him any chance to catch his breath. Kill Lone Wolf and split the treasures." Qiu Yi's words roused everyone's morale. They wished that Lone Wolf would appear immediately and hack him to death. Bang! Bang! Just as the crowd was in a state of agitation, a hole was suddenly torn open on the roof above their heads. A giant hand fell down from the hole at lightning speed. With a shwa sound, it grabbed the head of the person who spoke. Then, the hand swelled up before everyone's eyes and turned into a thick beast claw. With a slap, the beast's claw lifted the warrior up, and the entire roof was torn off. The black-clothed and masked Lone Wolf, who exuded a baleful aura, had already stopped on the roof at some point in time. His injured arm had already recovered. "Are you saying that you want to kill me?" Lone Wolf laughed loudly. Then, he used his hands to tear the captured person in half, causing blood and internal organs to fall out as the person screamed in fear. The sudden scene stunned everyone. They had thought that Lone Wolf would fly in through the city gates like he did a few days ago. Who would have thought that Lone Wolf would be so bold today? He had already stopped on the roof and waited for everyone. Their minds had already short-circuited in the first place. Now that they saw a person dismembered, the many horrified cultivators felt their minds go blank. Their earlier bold words had already vanished into thin air. Xiao! Taking advantage of the moment when everyone was stunned, Lone Wolf, whose arms had already turned into spirit fiends, descended at lightning speed. Amid the frenzied attacks, another 3 or 4 people died on the spot. Courting death. Surround him. Qiu Yi and Zhuoping reacted quickly. They shouted angrily and charged at Lone Wolf. Who knew that Lone Wolf was not greedy? After killing a few people, he laughed loudly and punched through the wall, easily flying out. Chase! With their plan completely disrupted, Qiu Yi and Zhuoping could not care about anything else. They took the lead and gave chase. When the others recovered their wits from their shock, they cursed and quickly chased after Lone Wolf with their weapons in hand. Shao Chen and Zhongli leaped up at the same time, following Lone Wolf. Under the full moon, Qiu Yi and Zhuoping still acted as the main force against Lone Wolf, whose arms had already turned into spirit fiends. Today, the two of them knew that this was their last chance. They did not hold back at all. Their quintessence surged as they executed all sorts of killing moves without holding back. Last night, Lone Wolf, who could still use both his hands, was forced into a corner and could only do his best to block. A ferocious glint flashed in the eyes of the remaining cultivators. They all made up their minds to fight this final battle. They pushed their cultivations to the limits and attacked Lone Wolf repeatedly. Loud sounds rang out continuously in the night sky. As the figures flickered, more wounds appeared on Lone Wolf's body. Several sect disciples were in an even more miserable state. Lone Wolf directly tore them in half with one swipe of his claws. However, no one retreated. Things had already reached this point. If anyone cowered, the advantage that Qiu Yi and the others held would immediately crumble. As Shao Chen and Zhongli entered the battle, the situation in the air took a turn for the worse. Lone Wolf gradually found himself at a disadvantage. Lone Wolf roared, and his body swelled up several times. His black clothes tore apart as he completely turned into a spirit fiend. After Lone Wolf's body turned into a spirit fiend, his aura became even more ferocious. His scarlet eyes glared at a cultivator who tried to sneak attack him. A horrifying baleful aura turned into a mountain of corpses, a sea of blood, hell, and all sorts of negative emotions exploding in that cultivator's mind, causing him to become distracted. Paw! Lone Wolf laughed maniacally and threw a palm strike. The black palm wind was like the gigantic hand of a strange beast. With a loud bang, it mangled that cultivator, killing him on the spot. A ruthless look flashed in Qiu Yi's eyes. He said, "I was waiting for you to completely turn into a spirit fiend." Zhuoping, stop holding back. Zhuoping did not say anything. Her expression turned cold, but her aura became even more terrifying. Then, she withdrew her slender sword and sent out 9 strands of surging sword qi connected from head to tail. Each strand of sword qi created ripples in the air, capable of splitting mountains and rivers. The 9 swords merged into one, looking like a ferocious flood dragon bearing its fangs and claws as it charged at Lone Wolf. 3 sharp screeches came from Qiu Yi's body. Flames surrounded him and formed 3 glistening golden flaming birds. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that these 3 flaming birds were extraordinary. Every single flaming bird's charm contained an incomparably sharp sword intent. This allowed the flaming birds formed from quintessence to possess not only strong explosive power but also unparalleled penetrative power. Boom! 2 killing moves that could rival inferior-grade heaven-ranked martial techniques struck Lone Wolf's transformed body with the help of quintessence. Attack! The other cultivators, who had been storing up power, did not wait for the shock waves of the explosions to scatter. They raised their auras to their limits and turned into beams of flowing light as they hacked down with their weapons. Bang! 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 Intense metallic clangs came from the shock waves. Each sound was like thunder, unending. No one in Heavenly Water City would be able to sleep tonight. Xiaochen looked carefully and discovered that Lone Wolf, who had already turned into a spirit fiend, was still very ferocious despite the attacks. Lone Wolf clashed head-on with Qiu Yi and Zhuoping's attacks. Occasionally, he made a move, smashing some of the flies flying at him into a mangled mess. Xiaochen faced 2 sect disciples who were no weaker than him. Furthermore, there was a group of medial-grade martial monarchs interfering. Furthermore, Xiaochen's side suffered heavy casualties. They could not truly kill Lone Wolf. Just thinking about it was incredible. Unexpectedly, combat experience and the baleful aura accumulated from killing others had such a strong effect in a true battle. After pausing for a while, Xiaochen charged over again, joining the group surrounding Lone Wolf. The battle was extraordinarily arduous. When facing the completely transformed Lone Wolf, the group did not hold back at all. They expended their quintessence without holding anything back as they surrounded him. After attacking for a long time, frustration flashed in the ferocious Lone Wolf's eyes. He directly attacked and tore a hole in the encirclement, retreating out of the city. Chase! This time, we cannot let him escape. Even if we have to go to the ends of the world, we have to kill him. Qiu Yi shouted coldly and took the lead to chase after Lone Wolf. The others did not hesitate either. This was a rare opportunity. Naturally, they would not let it go. Xiaochen sheathed his saber and stood upright. As he watched the group of people leave, he did not give chase. All the more, he felt that there was no need to. Zhongli, who did not give chase as well, arrived before Xiaochen. As he got closer, he smiled and asked, "Brother Xiao, are you not going to give chase?" Xiaochen shook his head and said, "There is no need, Pu Ci." Before he could finish speaking, the smile on Zhongli's face instantly disappeared. He was only 2 meters away from Qin Chao. The killing qi that Zhongli had been suppressing surged out. His right hand, which was on the saber hilt, sent out a saber light faster than lightning. With the support of the perfect 50% comprehended saber intent, the resplendent saber light was as bright as the sun. The full moon in the sky instantly lost its luster. The distance was too close, and Xiaochen was caught off guard. The moment Xiao Chen placed his hand on the saber hilt, blood spurted out like an arrow, and his head fell to the ground. The eyes of the head floating in the air were wide open. It looked like Xiao Chen had died with a remaining grievance. The headless body quickly fell to the ground. The eyes of the white-haired cultivator, Zhongli, glowed red, and he radiated killing qi. His originally scholarly aura vanished completely. He became as ferocious and berserk as a wild beast. Just one glance from him would cause others to tremble in fear. Zhongli's lips curled up in a cold smile as he looked indifferently at Xiao Chen's headless corpse. He said in disdain, with such little vigilance, he dared to fight with me. Serves him right to die. Zhongli looked meaningfully at Xiao Yi and the others, who were chasing after Lone Wolf. He smiled and said, the sect disciples are still as gullible as before. Bring me to finish my business, and then we will deal with them. Everything was going according to plan. Zhongli was in a good mood. He had a sinister smile on his face as he quickly headed for the city lord's residence. It has been a long time since I started a massacre. My baleful aura has stagnated. Zhongli stuck out his scarlet tongue and licked his chapped lips. He could not help but tremble, looking very evil. However, Zhongli did not notice that when Xiao Chen's headless corpse landed on the ground, it kicked up a cloud of dust. When the dust settled, there was only a small, exquisite, headless wooden sculpture lying there quietly. Unable to contain his excitement, Zhongli moved very quickly. In a few breaths, he arrived at the gates of the city lord's residence. However, the strange thing was that there was not a single guard at the gates of the city lord's residence. This somewhat disappointed Zhongli, who was in a rush to drink blood. There is no need to rush. There will be a chance later. Zhongli laughed cruelly. Then, he sent out a beam of energy with his right palm and shattered the heavy gates. Zhongli strode in. The scene of panic that he imagined did not appear. The gates had been destroyed. Despite such a big matter, not a single cultivator from the city lord's residence came out. Sensing that something was wrong, Zhongli quickly walked forward. His expression turned increasingly unsightly. Unexpectedly, there was not a single person in the vast city lord's residence. Chapter 674. Under the illumination of the moonlight, this place appeared very cold and quiet. It did not make sense. Zhongli arrived at the great hall of the city lord's residence with some anticipation. However, he discovered that there was no one there. It was so empty that it made his heart go cold. Brother Zhongli, are you looking for someone? I have to tell you that I have already dismissed the people of the city lord's residence. Wait, that's not right. I should call you the great bandit Lone Wolf. Just as Zhongli was feeling confused, a white figure sat on the roof of the great hall. This person had a faint smile on his face as he looked at Zhongli. Even though Zhongli had killed countless people and was no longer afraid of anything, when he saw the white figure's appearance under the hazy moonlight, he was so frightened that he took a step back. Zhongli exclaimed in shock, "That's impossible. Didn't I just chop off your head? How can you be back here?" Xiao Chen stood up calmly. His white clothes had a faint moonlight on them, making him look elegant and refined, giving him an ethereal air. You are not the only one who knows that cloning technique. I know it as well. By now, Zhongli had already calmed down. He felt it was funny, he felt that he had overreacted. He smiled faintly and said, "So what? What do you think you can do? You are just letting me kill you again. Nothing much. I just want to borrow your head." Xiao Chen raised the lunar shadow saber above his head and slowly drew it. The slender blade reflected the faint moonlight. When the saber was completely drawn, it gave off a resplendent light. A resonant dragon roar came from Xiao Chen's body as he leaped off the roof. The moon was bright like fire. Xiao Chen's figure created a huge purple arc in the night sky. In an instant, he arrived at Zhongli's side and hacked down with his saber. Suddenly, Zhongli felt the saber intent on the saber and the immortal state of thunder contained in it. His expression changed greatly, and his heart thumped wildly. When Xiao Chen swung his saber, it was clear that Xiao Chen's saber intent had already reached a perfect 60% comprehended saber intent. It was already close to great perfection, much stronger than Zhong Li's. The electric light leaping in the saber light contained an immortal intent. It was very different from a regular state of thunder and lightning. It could rival his state of ice, perhaps even surpass it. Zhong Li's expression sank, and he drew his thick saber. He did not dare to be careless as he met Xiao Chen's saber strike from the side. A cold light surged on the saber radiance. Under the night sky, all the cold air seemed to have gathered on the saber radiance. Dang! When the sabers clashed, a loud clanging sound rang out. Waves of uncontrollable energy turned into strands of saber wind flying everywhere. Rumble! Rumble! The saber winds shattered the buildings in the city lord's residence. With just one move, everything within 500 meters turned into a mess. Xiao! A huge force entered Zhong Li's body through the saber's edge. Zhong Li retreated 100 meters as the lightning rampaged in his body. The lightning contained the will of immortality. It was extremely difficult to get rid of, giving one a headache. What shocked Zhong Li even more was that Xiao Chen's quintessence was no weaker than his. It did not seem like Xiao Chen was just an inferior-grade martial monarch. When Zhong Li thought of this possibility, shock flashed in his eyes. Could it be that this fellow refined his quintessence before consuming the quintessence-gathering pill as an inferior-grade martial monarch? Even I, a half-face, could not endure such pain. Could it be that this person could? However, if that was not the case, Zhong Li could not think of any other possibility. After pushing back Zhong Li with one saber strike, Xiao Chen said indifferently, "Don't get careless. Otherwise, you will die a miserable death. I did not intend to kill you so easily. Since coming to this Kunlun realm, I have not had a proper exchange with a bladesman of the same generation. Don't disappoint me." The blue dragon image under Xiao Chen's feet circled around. Auspicious clouds floated around it as it carried Xiao Chen over to Zhong Li's side. Dang! 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 Saber lights danced around. A perfect 60% comprehended saber intent infused with the immortal state of thunder supported Xiao Chen's aura as he launched a barrage of attacks. You are so young, but your tone is not small. Today, I will show you the true ability of a great bandit. Zhong Li smiled coldly to himself. He did not think that Xiao Chen could force him to bow down to him with just this bit of ability. Suddenly, a scarlet light circulated around Zhong Li's body. This light was made of pure baleful aura. Boundless anguished wails came from the light, and all sorts of aggrieved spirits appeared. These were not illusions. They truly existed. Among the aggrieved spirits were 70-year-old men, pregnant women, and newborn babies. These people's faces were all extremely distorted and indistinct. They looked cruel and heart-palpitating, not daring to look directly at them. The greatest difference between baleful aura and killing chi was that the people the former killed were filled with intense resentment. Only loose cultivators with extremely cruel hearts could do this. Most cultivators would kill others for their treasures as well. However, they would never attack ordinary people. This was the most basic principle. However, loose cultivators never cared about this. As a result, their killing chi would mutate into an even more horrifying baleful aura, 100 times more horrifying than killing chi. Zhong Li smiled cruelly and said, "My baleful aura can scare ordinary people into idiots. Let's see how you block it." Within the Scarlet Sea, Zhong Li sent out a scarlet, icy saber chi. The saber chi was like a pillar, and rings of scarlet clouds floated around it. In every scarlet cloud, there was a horrifying corpse screaming. At a glance, the scarlet clouds looked like a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, vast and boundless. After clashing with Zhong Li, Xiao Chen retreated 100 meters and landed on a tall wall with a grave expression. He had not expected such a martial technique to completely infuse baleful aura into saber technique. The world of evil cultivators was an eye-opener for Xiao Chen. However, it is just a small Dao in the end. Xiao Chen held his saber and smiled coldly. He activated the ancient sovereign's bloodline in his body, and his vast aura became as heavy as a mountain. Vast, ancient, drawn out, noble, and inviolable. The ancient sovereign's aura surged out like a strong wind. It swept away all the scarlet light around the saber chi, leaving only that saber chi. Blazing sun, burning to desolation. In the dark night, the slender lunar shadow saber gave off a saber light as bright as the blazing sun. Then, Xiaochen leaped down from the tall wall while holding his saber. Bang! Under the moonlight, the might of the burning to desolation saber technique was inevitably reduced. It could only hold its own against the scarlet, icy saber chi. Explosions rang out endlessly, and a deep pit appeared in the ground. The two each took 100 steps back, and blood leaked out of the corners of their mouths. The blue dragon under Zhong Li's feet spiraled around. Xiaochen shook his head slightly and said, "In the end, my cultivation is still lacking. If I advanced to medial grade martial monarch, this would not be the case." The shock in Zhong Li's eyes was even more intense than Xiaochen's. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen broke the baleful aura that he was so proud of so easily. Fated person in autumn water. Without any hesitation, the instant Xiaochen landed, he charged over again. He turned into a gentle autumn wind, carrying a boundless saber light as he split the air in half. Damn it! Zhong Li's aura, state, and saber intent were all inferior to Xiaochen's. Furthermore, his advantage in cultivation was not obvious. Zhong Li could not gain an advantage over Xiaochen. A red light flickered in Zhong Li's eyes as he lost his patience. He roared, and his body swelled up several times, ripping his clothes. Then, he turned into a white wolf standing on its hind legs. Zhong Li used an even denser saber chi to scatter the saber light filled with the feeling of autumn. The werewolf's foot, which was filled with strength, spun around and left behind an afterimage as it arrived at Xiaochen's side. After Zhong Li turned into a werewolf, his speed instantly increased by 20%. His sharp claws clawed at Xiaochen's head. Open! The acupoint on Zhong Li's right foot opened. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiaochen quickly turned around and held his saber with both hands to block this claw. The claws were as hard as frost iron. Sparks flew as they rubbed against the saber, forcing Xiaochen back continuously. Paw! Zhong Li layered his palms over each other. When his strength increased explosively, he knocked Xiaochen back. Ha ha ha! Let's see if you still dare to spout nonsense. This was the first time Zhong Li obtained such a large advantage. He felt very carefree. He laughed maniacally and prepared to give chase. Roar! 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 However, just at this moment, 3 dragon roars came from Xiaochen's body. Aside from the blue dragon image under his feet, 2 more blue dragon images appeared around him. A blue dragon swung its tail. Instead of advancing, Xiaochen retreated. His saber light danced as he executed cycle of seasons. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, cycle of seasons, and all sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared. Cycle of seasons? Zhong Li's expression turned startled. With a flip of his hand, he took out his thick saber and pushed the quintessence infused with fiend energy to its limits. Scarlet snowflakes erupted from the saber. Bang! Using all the quintessence in his body, Zhong Li's wolf claws cracked. Blood leaked out, and he felt incredible pain. However, he managed to block this saber strike. Dang! 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 Xiaochen rode on the 3 blue dragon images, catching up to the transformed Zhong Li. Once again, the two engaged in an exceptionally arduous battle. Dark clouds covered the sky, completely blocking out the moonlight. 1 man and 1 wolf fought an intense battle in the vast city lord's residence. The aftershocks flattened many buildings. If not for Xiaochen sending away the unrelated people, who knew how many innocent lives would have died tonight? A huge battle was also taking place outside the city gates. Qiu Yi and Zhuoping led 10-odd medial-grade martial monarchs to surround the transformed lone wolf clone. Without caring about their quintessence consumption, They managed to gain the upper hand. As long as they dragged things out, Lone Wolf would die for sure. Qiu-Yi checked the quintessence in his body and discovered that it was almost depleted. He shouted, "Everyone, put in more effort. I will kill Lone Wolf soon. He is a bona fide great bandit." Far away, the battle between Xiao Chen and Lone Wolf Zhongli was about to end. It was exceptionally crucial. Earlier, Lone Wolf had clashed head-on with Xiao Chen's heaven-ranked martial technique, Blue Dragon Returns to the Sea. A horrifying wound appeared on Lone Wolf's chest. The wound extended all the way to Xiao Chen's abdomen. Several bones broke and blood dripped down. However, even so, Lone Wolf was still incredibly tenacious. At the last moment, he counterattacked and even struck Xiao Chen with his claw, causing him to vomit a mouthful of blood. The two of them panted heavily as they glared at each other fiercely. At this moment, they were competing with their willpower. Neither of them could relax at all. Sea of Lightning Saber Light. Xiao Chen shook his head ferociously and took the initiative to attack. He quickly sent out 7 saber lights, which turned into 21 saber images and encased Zhongli. Dang! 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 Zhongli's eyes lit up. He dragged his injured body and blocked all 21 of Xiao Chen's saber images. He even prepared to counterattack. Chapter 675. However, he did not know that the moment he executed the might of this saber strike, a sea of lightning suddenly formed and exploded on his body, blasting him into the air. Die! A strand of saber light flew out from somewhere in the sea of lightning. It was as fast as lightning, disappearing in a flash. The dark clouds scattered, and the full moon in the sky peeked out. The moonlight happened to illuminate this scene. A scarlet light shot out, and Lone Wolf's head flew off. Xiao Chen reappeared and spun around. He sheathed his saber and caught the head. Seeing the headless corpse on the ground, Xiao Chen's fatigued body heaved a sigh of relief. I finally killed him. Outside Heavenly Water City, Qiu-Yi watched as Lone Wolf slowly fell over. His anxious face relaxed, and he revealed a faint smile. The others panted heavily as well. They all had wounds on their bodies. As for their quintessence, they had already drained it long ago. They had consumed all the medicinal pills they could. Even if they had peak-grade medicinal pills, they would not be able to replenish their quintessence immediately. They had consumed too many medicinal pills in a short period of time and developed a resistance to them. Qiu-Yi sheathed his sword and looked at the similarly fatigued Zhuoping. He said, both of us exhausted ourselves today. After we recover tomorrow, we can decide who gets the proof of the mission. How about that? Zhuoping nodded gently and did not say anything. She did not have much quintessence in her body, and her condition had deteriorated significantly. Earlier, she had relied on her quintessence to fight Lone Wolf. Now that she relaxed, she no longer had any fighting spirit. She could only decide tomorrow. Everything was going according to plan. Qiu-Yi smiled faintly and walked over to Lone Wolf's corpse, feeling very satisfied. Then, he stretched out his hand to remove Lone Wolf's mask. Let's see what exactly you look like. Qiu-Yi waved his hand and removed Lone Wolf's black mask. However, when he saw Lone Wolf's face, the smile on his face froze. A face that Qiu-Yi could not imagine appeared under the mask. He cried out hoarsely, "How can this be?" When the others saw the strange situation, they quickly came over to take a look. They all exclaimed in shock, "Zhongli! How can it be him? How can this be? Qi!" Under everyone's astonished gazes, Lone Wolf's corpse shrank until it finally became the corpse of a white wolf. Zhuoping's expression turned grave as she said, "We were tricked. This is the external incarnation unique to the half-fiend race. The incarnation's strength is no different from the main body. It is very difficult to cultivate. I did not expect Lone Wolf to learn it." Qiu-Yi's expression turned cold as he sent out a sword chi. With that the white wolf on the ground was sliced in half. That Xiao Chen must have found out long ago. Let's hurry back. Qiu Yi's eyes were filled with killing intent and his entire being was terrifyingly cold. After planning for more than half a month and meticulously preparing, he was actually tricked at the last moment. At this moment, his mood could be said to be as terrible as it could get. The group of people had consumed too much true essence, so they didn't dare to use qi to fly. They could only desperately run towards the city. Halfway there, Qiu Yi said, "It will definitely take some time before a victor is decided. We still have a chance." Indeed, it was as Qiu Yi said. When the group arrived at the city lord's residence, they happened to see Xiao Qin removing a spatial ring from a headless corpse. When Qiu Yi saw the headless corpse, he was stunned at first. Then, he shouted, "Xiao Qin, how bold of you! You discovered that it was Lone Wolf's clone long ago, yet you still dared to trick us." The moment Qiu Yi spoke, he accused Xiao Qin of cheating, trying to use reason to pressure Xiao Qin. Long ago, Xiao Qin had expected this group of people to rush over. He searched Lone Wolf's body unhurriedly and found a secret manual. Before everyone's envious gazes, he took it. "It was not me who tricked you. It was Lone Wolf who tricked you." Full Moon Pavilion's Qiu Yi, don't make a mistake. Xiao Qin spoke calmly in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. Qiu Yi felt angry in his heart. He wished that he could slap Xiao Qin to death. However, he had exhausted too much essence, so it was not convenient for him to make a move. He could only say coldly, "Xiao Qin, according to the rules, no matter who obtains the proof of completion, Lone Wolf's treasures have to be handed over to us." Xiao Qin smiled disapprovingly, "Whose rule? Since when did you ask me? Since when did I agree to it?" When Qiu Yi saw Xiao Qin's attitude, not caring about him at all, he could not help but feel stifled, unable to say anything. "Xiao Qin, what are you pretending for? You already got what you wanted, yet you are still trying to act innocent. Hurry up and hand over Lone Wolf's treasures. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving this city lord's residence today." "Right, that's right. Hurry up and hand over Lone Wolf's treasures. We don't need your proof of completion. We have already treated you well enough. You can take the proof of completion and leave. However, you must leave behind Lone Wolf's treasures." The people from the surrounding sects all spoke in an irritated tone. They had worked so hard for so long. They did not want to end up empty-handed. Furthermore, Xiao Qin was alone and did not have a high cultivation. If not for the fact that he was a Haotian sect disciple, they would not even give him the proof of completion. Qiu Yi and Zhuoping exchanged glances. They understood each other's intentions from their gazes. "Xiao Qin, on account that you are a Haotian sect disciple, I will not make things difficult for you. As long as you leave behind Lone Wolf's spatial ring and that secret manual, you can leave." Qiu Yi spoke frankly with assurance. Qiu Yi spoke frankly with assurance. This was already his final concession. If Xiao Qin still did not know what was good for him, then Xiao Qin could not blame him for being ruthless. Xiao Qin smiled coldly to himself. This group of people is really funny. They were fooled by Lone Wolf's clones and did not obtain anything. Unexpectedly, they came over to extort him. Furthermore, they were very magnanimous, acting like they were showing mercy. What did it have to do with them that I killed Lone Wolf alone? What sophistry! Xiao Qin stepped forward expressionlessly. He looked at the various sect cultivators hiding their murderous intent and said sullenly, "I was the one who killed Lone Wolf. It is impossible for you to take anything from me. I advise you to give up on this thought." Qiu Yi released his murderous intent without hiding it at all. He stared at Xiao Qin with a sinister gaze and smiled coldly. "So, you are saying that you are not going to hand it over?" Zhuoping's pretty face also turned sullen. She said, "What is the point of speaking so much nonsense with him? Just cripple him, and we can just take the things and leave. This woman is really vicious. She looks so good for nothing," Xiao Qin thought to himself, feeling that it was a pity. As Xiao Qin looked at the crowd that could not wait to charge over, he laughed loudly and said, "I really want to know what gives you the courage to threaten me like this despite your veritable essence energy being almost drained. Our quintessence is exhausted, but so is yours. Do you think we are air? Could it be that you can defeat so many of us by yourself?" A person said disdainfully as he held a sharp saber in his hand and looked at Xiao Chen. "Congratulations, you are right. In my eyes, you are indeed not even worth air." Xiao Chen smiled coldly and charged at the person who spoke. As he ran, his aura flourished. Vital qi surged in his body, causing the ground to tremble. Bang! The two cultivators in front of that person were knocked into the air by Xiao Chen. Half the bones in their bodies shattered. That person was horrified. When he saw Xiao Chen suddenly charging at him, he did not know what to do. When Xiao Chen arrived in front of him, he swung his saber. Ka Xie. Xiao Chen used his palm as a saber, and a strong wind howled. When the palm saber struck that person's wrist, the sound of bones breaking resounded. The treasure saber fell to the ground with a huang-dang sound. Before that person could cry out in pain, Xiao Chen landed a palm strike on that person's chest. He used less than 30% of his 1.5 tons of vital qi, breaking that person's ribs and sending him flying back 100 meters. A strange look flashed in the eyes of Qiu Yi and Zhuoping. After they reacted, they circulated the remaining quintessence in their bodies and charged at Xiao Chen. After the initial panic, the others roared ferociously and sent out their remaining quintessence. They sent out several dozen beams of energy at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen crossed his arms and smiled coldly. He materialized the stance of crouching tiger hidden dragon. When the sword qi and saber qi struck his arms, they gave off dang sounds. Two especially sharp sword qi flew at Xiao Chen amid the shock waves. They were the peak inner sect disciples of the Full Moon Pavilion, Qiu Yi, and the Thousand Mystery Sect, Zhuoping. Crouching tiger hidden dragon. Xiao Chen spread out his arms, and the aura that he had stored up erupted. Like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves, he sent the two flying. Cultivators relied mainly on quintessence. If a cultivator exhausted all their quintessence, they would not be able to bring out their full strength, no matter how capable they were. Right now, the group of sect elite disciples in front of Xiao Chen was in such a situation. When they met with Xiao Chen, who had a strong physical body, they could only get beaten up. Damn it! Qiu Yi vomited a mouthful of blood, feeling very sullen in his heart. He had not expected a minor character from the Haotian sect to beat him into such a sorry state. Qiu Yi smashed his right palm on the ground, not caring about overdrawing on his quintessence. His sword danced, giving off a bright light. He wanted to use technique to break force, using exquisite sword techniques to defeat Xiao Chen. Unfortunately, Qiu Yi was too naive. When the difference in strength was too great, no matter how exquisite a sword technique was, without quintessence to rely on, it would just be for show. Xiao Chen took a step forward and kicked. A strong wind blew and scattered Qiu Yi's sword technique. Then, Xiao Chen kicked Qiu Yi's face back. Qiu Yi's handsome face immediately contorted into a sorry state. Xiao! Just at this moment, an exceptionally sharp killing qi flew over from behind Xiao Chen at an incredible speed. The Thousand Mystery Sect's Zhuoping took advantage of the time when Xiao Chen was distracted by Qiu Yi to sneak behind him. Then, she found an excellent angle to launch a sneak attack. The thin sword flickered with a cold light. The angle was tricky. Soon, it would stab into Xiao Chen's spine. A sinister expression appeared on Zhuoping's face. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. He had already noticed the other party with his spiritual sense long ago. She really thought that her sneak attack had succeeded. Xiao Chen nimbly turned around and brushed past that fatal thin sword. Then, he clenched his right fist and punched Zhuoping's pretty face without any tenderness for the fairer sex. Zhuoping cried out miserably as she held her collapsed nose. Then, she fell to the ground in pain, rolling a few times before stopping. When the other elite disciples of the various sects saw their two leaders end up in such a state, They looked at Xiao Chen and could not help but take a few steps back. Chapter 676. Xiao Chen swept his gaze over everyone's expressions. A deep look of disdain appeared in the depths of his eyes. He snorted coldly and left. The full moon hung high in the sky. As everyone watched the white figure leave, no one dared to say anything. I will not let this matter rest like this. Some time after Xiao Chen left, Qiu Yi, who had recovered slightly, punched the ground with his right hand. As a peak inner sect disciple of the Full Moon Pavilion, Qiu Yi had become famous at a young age. If he put in a little more effort, he would have been a genius who could have become a true inheritor. However, today, he had exhausted his quintessence and was humiliated by a nameless brat. How could he swallow this down? Qiu Yi slowly stood up. The footprint on his face had not completely disappeared yet. When he moved his lips, it caused his swollen wound to feel excruciating pain. As Qiu Yi watched Xiao Chen leave, heavy hatred filled his eyes. He muttered to himself, "Don't think that everything will be fine just because you left. In the future, I will definitely challenge the Haotian sect and let you know what regret is." On the other side, Zhuoping also slowly stood up. She sneak-attacked Xiao Chen and ended up getting her nose broken by Xiao Chen. She was in an even worse state than Qiu Yi. A malicious look flashed in Zhuoping's eyes as she silently left without saying a word. This Xiao Chen is probably in big trouble now. We do not dare to challenge the Haotian sect. However, these two are bona fide disciples of the 9 ranks of the great families. How could they swallow this down? Let's go. This white-robed bladesman is too arrogant. When the time comes, I will definitely go and see how miserable he looks. After Qiu Yi and Zhuoping recovered their quintessence, the group of helpless sect disciples, who were beaten up by Xiao Chen, grumbled angrily for a while before leaving the place helplessly. Outside the city lord's residence, the city lord's expression was even more unsightly than the others when he saw the ruins of the city lord's residence. However, Xiao Chen was a disciple of the 9 ranks of the great families. Furthermore, he had helped the city lord kill Lone Wolf. No matter how depressed he felt, he could not do anything about it. After leaving Heavenly Water City, Xiao Chen was not in a rush to open Lone Wolf's spatial ring. Instead, he found a desolate place in the forest and started to recover his quintessence. When the sun rose, Xiao Chen opened his eyes and smiled at the rising sun. Then, he happily opened Lone Wolf's spatial ring. Normally, loose cultivators would not have much wealth on them. However, the other party was a great bandit. No matter how unsightly he was, he definitely had more wealth than the 7 Black Wind Killers combined. After all of this, Xiao Chen of his life, of the loose of the 7 Black Bandits, he felt. Xiao Chen counted the large number of superior grade spirit stones. There was a total of 3 million superior grade spirit stones. There was a total of 3 million superior grade spirit stones. Xiao Chen could not help but reveal an expression of joy. No wonder those fellows coveted Lone Wolf's treasures. With so many superior grade spirit stones, even if they were split evenly, everyone would still obtain a large harvest. There were also several rank 8 medicinal pills and natural treasures. Most of them were essential medicinal pills for cultivators. Even if Xiao Chen could not use them, he could sell them for spirit stones. However, after searching for a long time, he did not find the spirit-gathering pearls that Xiao Chen needed the most. Not only did he not see any inferior-grade spirit-gathering pearls, but he did not even see a single medial-grade spirit-gathering pearl. That should not be the case. If there were no medial-grade spirit-gathering pearls, it would be understandable. However, there should still be some inferior-grade spirit-gathering pearls. Xiao Chen revealed doubt in his eyes as he continued his search. He even searched several corners of the spatial ring several times. After a long time, an ordinary-looking brocade box appeared in Xiao Chen's spiritual sense. With a thought, Xiao Chen took out the brocade box. The box was very strange. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense could not penetrate it. However, it did not contain any spiritual energy, looking very ordinary. Whoosh! After hesitating for a while, Xiaochen gently opened the brocade box. He saw a bright light radiating everywhere. There were inferior-grade spirit-gathering pearls neatly arranged in the box. Xiaochen said joyfully, "This box is indeed strange. No wonder I could not find the spirit-gathering pearls. So, they were all hidden here." Xiaochen counted the number of inferior-grade spirit-gathering pearls. Although there were not many of them, Zhong Zhongli was a loose cultivator. For him to obtain so many inferior-grade spirit-gathering pearls as a loose cultivator, he must have killed many sect disciples and robbed many noble clans before he could obtain them. This lone wolf Zhongli must have killed many sect disciples and ransacked many noble clans before he could obtain them. A white light flashed. Xiaochen did not stand on ceremony and placed all the inferior-grade spirit-gathering pearls in his spatial ring. In the end, his cultivation was still lacking. He urgently needed spirit-gathering pearls. Just as Xiaochen was about to close the brocade box, he suddenly discovered that there was a hidden compartment beneath the brocade box. He did not even place 200 spirit-gathering pearls in the hidden compartment. Could it be that the things inside are even more precious? When Xiaochen opened the hidden compartment, there was a beast skin map inside. The aura of the map was extremely ancient and vast. There were all sorts of maps and red dots on it. The red dots were of different shades. When one looked at the darker red dots, one would feel a ferocious and dangerous aura, causing one's heart to tremble. What kind of map is this? Xiaochen's expression turned grave as he looked at the map. The mountains, rivers, grass, trees, and flying beasts on the map actually materialized and leaped out of the map. The map quickly spread out before Xiaochen's eyes. Clouds churned, vast and boundless. Ancient rivers, mountains, and palaces appeared one by one. At the same time, the beast skin map lit up. A horrifying savage aura soared into the sky, causing hundreds of beasts in the forest to flee. They panicked and caused a huge commotion. Xiaochen's face sank. He quickly covered the brocade box again. Only then did the vast and ancient savage aura disappear without a trace. When Xiaochen saw the commotion in his surroundings, he frowned. Then, he looked at the clouds in the sky, which had been stirred up by the savage aura. "I have to leave quickly. That aura earlier clearly has tens of thousands of years of history. This map must have a great origin. Who knows, some major character might have sensed that aura earlier. Fortunately, this strange brocade box could seal this aura. Otherwise, even if he placed it in his spatial ring, Xiaochen would not be at ease concealing that overwhelming aura." Xiaochen summoned out 3 azure dragon images. As the dragons roared, he moved up and down, disappearing into the forest, going as far as he could. Not long after Xiaochen left, a black figure appeared above the forest. His aged face revealed a grave expression as he looked at the clouds in the sky. "Old Qiu, you sense the savage aura as well, right?" Soon, another white-haired old man flew over and spoke to Old Qiu indifferently. Old Qiu said regretfully, "It is definitely a spirit diagram from the savage battlefield. Based on that aura, it is definitely the real deal. However, it is currently concealed by a treasure that can hide spiritual energy." Old Qiu sighed in pity. Then, he ignored the white-haired old man and flew far away. The white-haired old man closed his eyes and spread out his vast mental energy into the surroundings like the tide. From 1 kilometer to 2 kilometers, it reached 10 kilometers. However, he still could not sense the treasure that released the savage aura earlier. He could not help but shake his head and say, "The demonic barrier in the savage battlefield is weakening soon. If I can find this item, it will be of great help to my sect's disciples when they enter the savage battlefield. I'll go search again and try my luck." The white-haired old man's figure flashed, and he turned into a beam of light. His figure seemed to merge with the world, and he moved incredibly fast. In the following days, Xiaochen did not open the brocade box again. Instead, he took out the mission list and started to complete the 2,000-point missions. Although the remaining missions were still difficult, they were not as difficult as Lone Wolf's. Now that he had dealt with the most difficult part, the rest was much easier. Xiao Qin could even take a break and use the spirit-gathering pearls to raise his cultivation. Time went by slowly. As the end of the month approached, Xiao Qin completed 10 2,000-point missions. The intense battles with the many loose cultivators had not only strengthened Xiao Qian's combat experience, but he had also accumulated a lot of war spoils. Now, Xiao Qin had a total of 7 million superior-grade spirit stones. He had some extra money. He also had 300 or 400 inferior-grade spirit-gathering pearls. However, Xiao Qin still did not obtain any medial-grade spirit-gathering pearls. If a loose cultivator obtained such a precious item, they would definitely consume it immediately and not hide it. With 23,000 contribution points, I should be able to rank first. If I fail, I can only think of other ways to exchange for medial-grade spirit-gathering pearls. With the aid of the large number of spirit-gathering pearls, Xiao Qian's cultivation had already reached peak late-stage inferior-grade martial monarch. All he had to do now was wait for the medial-grade spirit-gathering pearls to break through the bottleneck. 5 days later, Xiao Qin returned to the Haotian province and headed for Haotian city. The moment Xiao Qin walked out of the ancient transportation formation outside the city gates, he felt a few flickering gazes on him. His expression turned grave. He knew that something was about to happen. Indeed, when the city gates came into view, Yu Jiqiang led the leaders of the inner sect's 5 factions down from a flying beast and blocked Xiao Qian's path. Yu Jiqiang blocked Xiao Qian's path, withdrawing the killing qi in his eyes. He smiled gently and said, "Junior brother Xiao, it has been a long time. How have you been?" Lan Feichen was very cocky. As he looked at Xiao Qin, he teased, "Junior brother Xiao Qin, after not seeing you for half a month, your cultivation has grown rather fast. You have already reached peak late-stage inferior-grade martial monarch. Unfortunately, you are only peak late-stage inferior-grade martial monarch." As Lan Feichen spoke, he unleashed his strong aura, showing that he was a peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch. His aura spread out, and a strong wind blew in the surroundings, pressing down on Xiao Qin. One was a peak late-stage inferior-grade martial monarch, and the other was a peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch. On the surface, it looked like there was an entire cultivation realm between them. However, Xiao Qin had refined his quintessence twice before. He had refined it once before he consumed the quintessence gathering pill. During his fight with Lone Wolf, he knew that there was not much of a difference in their cultivations. The Lan Feichen before Xiao Qin had just advanced to peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch. He was still weaker than Lone Wolf. How could he inspire any fear in Xiao Qin? Ignoring Lan Feichen, Xiao Qin raised his head and looked at Yu Jiqiang. He said calmly, "There is no need to beat around the bush. If you have something to say, just say it directly." Seeing that Xiao Qin ignored his actions like a clown, Lan Feichen could not help but fly into a rage out of humiliation. He immediately wanted to make a move. Yu Jiqiang stopped Lan Feichen and smiled gently. "Junior brother Xiao is right. If you have something to say, just say it directly." "In that case, I will say it directly. Hand over all the proof of your mission. Otherwise, you can forget about entering the city today." Chapter 677. Xiao Qin retorted indifferently, "Do you think I will agree?" Yu Jiqiang smiled coldly and said, "I knew you would say that. However, no matter what you say today, the outcome is already decided." Right after Yu Jiqiang spoke, the 5 unleashed their auras and pressed down on Xiao Qin. Each of them was a peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarch. The 5 auras were like 5 solid mountains. They carried great momentum and kicked up a strong wind as they pressed down on Xiao Qin. A strong wind blew, kicking up a cloud of dust. Xiao Qian's eyes were closed, and his white robes fluttered in the wind. It looked like a strong wind would blow him away at any moment. Several Haotian sect disciples on the city walls felt the strong auras and leaped out to investigate. When they saw this scene, they were all greatly startled. The leaders of the 5 factions that dominated the inner sect actually made a move at the same time to deal with a new disciple of the Sky Dome realm. This was too exaggerated. Any one of Yu Jiqiang's group of 5 would be at the peak of the inner sect. They were somewhat famous in the 18 southern provinces. The 5 of them attacking together was something they had never seen before. What's wrong with this white-robed bladesman? Unexpectedly, he offended all 5 of them in one go. Ha ha! After being in the Haotian sect for so many years, do you still not understand? There is no such thing as offending or not offending. It is just that these 5 people feel that Xiao Chen is a great threat to them and are purposely looking for trouble. That's not right. Xiao Chen is only an inferior grade martial monarch. He is far weaker than them. Why do they feel threatened by him? Who knows what is going on? In any case, this Xiao Chen is going to suffer today. As the disciples discussed, they looked at Xiao Chen with sympathy. If Yu Jiqiang's group of 5 attacked together, the outcome would be clear. The stout Sita Gang, who was hidden in the crowd, also had a cold glint in his eyes. There was also a person beside him who looked at Xiao Chen with hatred. Gue Wu asked sinisterly, Sita Gang, are you here to join in the excitement as well? Sita Gang chuckled and said, that is natural. Today, Xiao Chen definitely has no chance. How can I not take advantage of this opportunity to trample on him? Gue Wu, you have the same idea, right? Gue Wu smiled sinisterly and said, with the 5 peak inner sect disciples making a move, how could there be a miracle? If he wants to blame someone, he can only blame himself for being in the limelight and not understanding how to conduct himself. No matter what the outside world said, Xiao Chen wore a white robe, looking calm and natural. He looked at the powerful auras of the 5 people in front of him, not moving an inch. Yu Jiqiang and the others were inwardly shocked. They could not understand how Xiao Chen, who was a major realm lower than them, could remain so calm and composed when facing 5 auras. Senior brothers, let's go all out and suppress him with our auras. Lan Feichen felt even more depressed in his heart. He roared, wanting to work together to completely suppress Xiao Chen's aura. Don't hold back. Suppress him with all your might. Yu Jiqiang felt somewhat frustrated as well. The 5 of them had attacked together before so many people, yet they could not suppress Xiao Chen with their auras. No matter what, this could not be justified. Boom! The quintessence in the 5's bodies surged, and they no longer held back. They unleashed their auras to their limits, and a faint light appeared on their bodies. The surging and boundless auras surged like a raging river, gushing endlessly. They wanted to wash away Xiao Chen, pressing forward without turning back. Xiao Chen smiled coldly to himself. This group of people is really naive. Now that I have the aura of an ancient sovereign in my bloodline, I will not fear the auras of a peak martial sage. How could the auras of 5 insignificant medial-grade martial monarchs put any pressure on me? Their thinking is simply laughable. Back off! Xiao Chen roared in his heart and took a step forward. As he did so, he unleashed the aura of an ancient sovereign. Bang! 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 5 intense collisions rang out in the void. Each sound was like a sudden clap of thunder. The sound was deafening, and the void within a radius of 1,000 meters was trembling. Yu Jiqiang and the others all vomited a mouthful of blood. With one step, Xiao Chen forced them back 100 meters. Their expressions were filled with horror. This scene stunned everyone. 5 bona fide peak late-stage medial-grade martial monarchs actually lost to Xiao Chen in a competition of auras. They lost to Xiao Chen, a cultivator of the Sky Dome realm, to Xiao Chen, a peak late-stage inferior-grade martial monarch. Furthermore, they lost so decisively and in such a sorry state. How can there be such a strong aura? I actually feel the aura of an ancient sovereign, everyone exclaimed in astonishment, their eyes filled with shock. While you are down, I will take your life. Xiao Chen did not show mercy after gaining the upper hand. Before the 5 landed on the ground, a resonant dragon roar came from his body, and an azure dragon image appeared. Rise! Standing on the blue dragon, Xiao Chen moved very quickly. In an instant, he arrived before the weakest of the 5, Lan Feichen, and threw a punch. Lan Feichen was greatly startled. He placed his right hand on the weapon at his waist, wanting to draw it to face his enemy. Xiao Chen's left hand turned into a palm saber. Azure vital chi surged as it struck Lan Feichen's wrist. Ka Xie. Lan Feichen's wrist bone shattered. The force in his hand immediately dissipated. The weapon that Lan Feichen had just drawn fell back into its scabbard. Lan Feichen endured the intense pain and watched the fist approach his ear. He clenched his left fist and punched out before he could store up much quintessence. When the two fists met, the sound of bones breaking rang out. Under Xiao Chen's 500 tons of force, Lan Feichen's left hand was not enough. His entire left hand was crippled on the spot. This time, Lan Feichen could no longer endure it and cried out in pain. This time, he could no longer endure it and cried out in pain. Xiao Chen did not even bother to look at him. He raised his hand high and sent him flying with a slap. Lan Feichen vomited a mouthful of broken teeth and blood as he fell to the ground. Lan Feichen's right wrist shattered, and the bones in his left hand shattered. Despite having all his quintessence, he could no longer get up. One palm saber, one fist wind, and one slap. Xiao Chen crippled Lan Feichen in 3 moves. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly, so fast that it was hard to believe. Yu Jiqiang and the other 3 were knocked back by Xiao Chen's aura. They had just landed. By the time they reacted, it was already too late. Attack together. We cannot hold back at all. Horror flashed in Yu Jiqiang's eyes. He quickly drew a sword and charged at Xiao Chen at lightning speed. 100 Flowers Soar. Scarlet Light Sword. Clear Cloud Rui Saber. The other 3 drew their weapons as well. Infused with strong quintessence, they executed their best moves. In an instant, there was a bright light and killing intent filled the air, encasing Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen smiled gently, and 2 dragon roars came from his body again. 2 blue dragons appeared around him, and the blue dragon swung its tail in an arc. A strong wind blew, and the dragons roared ferociously. Xiao Chen found an opening and easily passed through the encirclement of the 4. The blue dragon below him circled around and carried him up. After him. Seeing Xiao Chen escape, Yu Jiqiang shouted coldly and leaped forward while holding his sword. 4 beams of rainbow light flew at Xiao Chen. After rising to a certain height, Xiao Chen stopped. He did not fear the encirclement of the 4. However, there were more angles for him to dodge in the air, making it easier to deal with them. Xiao Chen was not in a rush to take out the lunar shadow saber. Seeing Yu Jiqiang fly up first, Xiao Chen opened his left hand into a claw and clenched his right hand into a fist. As Xiao Chen's vital chi surged, he executed Berserk Dragon at the same time. A dragon roared ferociously on his right fist, and a dragon claw appeared on his left claw. The head and tail connected, forming a complete blue dragon. Berserk Dragon Break. Xiao Chen attacked the approaching Yu Jiqiang without any hesitation. A blue dragon formed purely from vital chi. The blue dragon flickered with light, and its eyes glared ferociously. As it bared its fangs and claws, it exuded a boundlessly arrogant aura. How arrogant! You actually dare to use only vital chi to fight. Do you think my cultivation is just for show? Yu Jiqiang smiled coldly, and a green light spread out from his sword. Vast quintessence gathered in it, forming a 10-meter-long green sword light. The sword light contained a heavy aura of earth. It gave the sharp sword chi a stable and solid quality, making it even more solid. It was clear that Yu Jiqiang's attainments in the state of earth were deep. Ka Xie. The sword light flashed, and Yu Jiqiang chopped the blue dragon flying at him in half. However, the dragon head did not dissipate as he expected. Instead, it continued roaring at him. Yu Jiqiang's expression changed slightly, and he had no choice but to send another sword strike to chop it in half. With this delay, Xiao Chen rode the blue dragon and took advantage of the opportunity to arrive 2 meters before Yu Jiqiang. Then, he punched him 81 times. The fist lights contained boundless vital chi. Explosions rang out incessantly. Space trembled as fist images flickered. Xiao Chen stood on a blue dragon, and 2 other blue dragons floated around him. Not only did his speed increase, but he was also very nimble. Every so often, he would send out several dozen punches. Xiao Chen moved gently, and he arrived behind Yu Jiqiang without leaving a trace. Then, he sent out several dozen more punches. Although Yu Jiqiang had the advantage of veritable essence energy, he could not touch Xiao Chen at all. He was forced into a fluster by Xiao Chen. He could only passively defend, unable to counterattack. When the other 3 saw the situation, they quickly rushed over to help. However, Xiao Chen only smiled faintly, not greedy at all. He left behind an afterimage and quickly fled far away. Blue Dragon Tail Whip. Before the others could catch their breaths and search for Xiao Chen, they saw another strong wind blow. 3 blue dragons reared their heads and roared ferociously, giving off a startling aura. When the dragons' roars stopped and the strong wind stopped, the others discovered that Xiao Chen had clashed with Feng Wuheng, who was on the rightmost side. Feng Wuheng's cultivation was slightly weaker than Yu Jiqiang's. When faced with Xiao Chen's overwhelming fist images, he found himself at a disadvantage. He could only struggle to deal with them. While Feng Wuheng was flustered, he quickly revealed an opening. Xiao Chen smiled faintly, not greedy at all. This was because the other 3 had already reacted. The blue dragon under Xiao Chen's feet dipped down before rising up and flying away easily, not giving the other 4 a chance to surround him. Another strong wind blew as Xiao Chen charged at Bai Zihao, who was on the leftmost side. Similarly, fist images filled the sky, coming and going without a trace. Xiao Chen used his advantage in speed to send out countless shocking fist lights. Bang! 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 The sky trembled, and white clouds scattered. Loud rumbles sounded like rolling thunder, not stopping for a moment. The onlookers could only see Xiao Chen flying up and down within the 3 azure dragons. He punched out, filling the sky with fist images. Each punch carried a force of 75 kilograms, enough to shatter a mountain. Chapter 678. Yu Jiqiang's group of 4 had high cultivations, but they were too slow. They could not catch Xiao Chen or surround him. Instead, Xiao Chen grasped the rhythm of the battle. Such an unimaginable scene caused everyone to be dumbstruck. Their mouths were agape, and they seemed to be in complete disbelief. Move closer. Shoulder to shoulder. Yu Jiqiang consumed his quintessence and tried several times to surround them, but to no avail. The muscles on his face twitched, and he could not help but say these words. The 4 quickly moved closer to each other, shoulder to shoulder, forming a small circle. They did not give Xiao Chen any opportunity to attack. This move was indeed effective. No matter who Xiao Chen attacked, the other 3 could quickly charge over, preventing him from making use of his advantage in speed. Ha ha! Yu Jiqiang, didn't you want my proof of completion? Why are you like a turtle hiding in its shell? How pitiful! When Xiao Chen saw this scene, he laughed loudly and mocked them without any hesitation. The 4 were enraged. They could not help but charge forward, wanting to clash with Xiao Chen again. However, it is useless to hide together. Burning the heavens. Before the 4 could charge out, Xiao Chen burned his vital qi. Azure smoke came from the Tianmen acupoint on his head and soared into the sky. Large patches of white clouds quickly burned with azure flames. From a distance, it looked like the sky was really burning. There seemed to be a huge dragon-shaped creature swimming in the azure clouds. As Xiao Chen shouted, a dragon claw clenched into a fist and descended. The 4 worked together to defend, each sending out a move to clash head-on with this burning the heavens fist. Their qi and blood surged, and their internal organs trembled. With another shout, Xiao Chen burned all the vital qi in his body. After his firmament body tempering art reached peak 6th layer, he could already face a medial-grade martial monarch alone. After consuming the half-drop of dragon marrow and monarch blood grass, he could be said to have undergone a rebirth. His blood vessels and bones all looked brand new. When he was about to burn his boats and burn all of his strength, the power that erupted was enough to overturn a mountain and shake the heavens and earth. Roar! Following Xiao Chen's shout, the dragon's shadow hidden in the surging green clouds also roared furiously, echoing Xiao Chen's shout. The wind and clouds surged. The burning blue sky seemed like it was about to sink. The entire space began to tremble endlessly. Burning Heaven Claw. A huge, solid-looking dragon claw covered in dragon scales tore through the clouds and quickly pressed down on the four people gathered together. The dragon claw was like a small mountain. The instant it broke through the clouds, a huge shadow enveloped the four of them. Bang! The four of them did their best to resist, but they were still slightly lacking. The suppressed qi and blood in their bodies could no longer endure it, and they vomited a large mouthful of blood before falling to the ground. Fortunately, the dragon claw only appeared for an instant before disappearing without a trace. Otherwise, it would have killed the four of them with a single claw. After executing this move, Xiao Chen's boundless vital qi was completely drained. He did not have any left. In fact, he had even overdrawn on it. However, Xiao Chen still had not used his quintessence. He still had not used the saber technique that he was so proud of. He had not drawn the lunar shadow saber from the very start. With a flip of his left hand, the lunar shadow saber appeared in his palm from the universe ring. Then, he grasped it tightly. The blue dragon danced in the air. Xiao Chen's white robes fluttered in the wind. He gave off an indescribable sense of solemnity and elegance, intoxicating others. It was hard to imagine that a bladesman could have such an otherworldly aura. His heart of innocence seemed to be untainted by the mundane world. When Xiao Chen drew his saber, a dazzling purple light flickered with boundless electricity. Under the restraint of the perfect saber intent, it quickly merged into one, not leaking out at all. The azure dragon image attacked at full power, chasing after Yu Jiqiang's group of four with all its might. After 2 leaps, it caught up to them even though it had started later. Sea of Lightning Saber Light. Xiao Chen quickly swung his saber 7 times. Each saber strike perfectly infused the immortal state of thunder into it. Then, it split into 21 saber images that looked both real and fake. The saber technique was like a surging sea, boundlessly vast. It was also like thousands of light images, making it hard to distinguish between real and fake. The hearts of the four sank. They could tell that this saber technique was extraordinary. However, they could not tell what was extraordinary. Unfortunately, the saber images had already arrived. There was no time to think. They could only use their own means to block this strange saber technique first. Dang! 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 When the saber and sword clashed, there was a metallic sound. The four were all injured, but their vital points were not injured. They could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Bang! However, they had not expected that this was just the beginning. The 21 saber images that scattered suddenly formed a vast sea of lightning. The sea of lightning arrived. Its horrifying force knocked the four back, aggravating their internal injuries. What was even more horrifying was that Xiao Chen had disappeared. Furthermore, there was a venomous gaze staring at them from an unknown place, making the four tremble in fear. A strand of saber light suddenly appeared, like a rainbow piercing through the sky. It disappeared in a flash without a trace. When the four of them came back to their senses, it was already too late. When the four recovered their wits, they discovered that wounds had appeared on their left shoulders. Then, their 4 left arms fell off. 4 miserable screams resounded. Yu Jiqiang and the rest could not be bothered with the pain as they quickly grabbed their arms. Then, they ran back into the city in a sorry state. They hated that they could not grow another leg. If they could recover their arms in time, they could still reattach them. However, if they were too late, it would be hard to say what would happen. Just as everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, feeling a chill at Xiao Chen's strength, a figure suddenly leaped out of the crowd. That person drew upon the power of heaven and earth, forming the silhouette of an ancient giant in the void, holding a heavy cyan ruler. This ancient giant carried the vast might of the ancient giant as it charged at Xiao Chen, who had just finished his battle. "Xiao Chen, you brat! Eat this ruler of Grandpa Situ's." Situ Gang revealed a sinister smile. Xiao Chen had exhausted all his vital qi and executed a killing move. This was a good opportunity for Situ Gang to launch a sneak attack. That ancient giant was 300 meters tall in the sky. It stood in the clouds, pointing to the sky and standing on the ground. Like Situ Gang, it also held a heavy azure ruler. A boundless might spread out, and the sky turned gloomy. A storm was brewing, and the atmosphere turned heavy. The heavy and ancient aura solidified the air. Clearly, Situ Gang had stored up power for a long time for this attack. He truly wanted to injure Xiao Chen, so he did not hold back at all. The opportunity that Situ Gang sought was also extremely vicious. It happened to be an opening after Xiao Chen executed the Sea of Lightning Saber Light. Situ Gang wanted to deal a fatal blow. Xiao Chen's expression turned cold, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. From the moment Xiao Chen stepped into the Haotian sect, Situ Gang had sought trouble for him. Then, he took advantage of Xiao Chen's battles to launch sneak attacks. Situ Gang was clearly a boorish person, but his thoughts were so sinister and despicable. Did he really think that Xiao Chen did not dare to do anything to him, that he could not do anything to him? "If you want to play big, then I will play big with you." Xiao Chen sank his heart and circulated his quintessence in his body. He circulated the energy of the dragon subduing Slash, and the aura of the blue dragon emerging from the sea quickly accumulated. Suddenly, a mysterious phenomenon appeared behind Xiao Chen. A boundless, surging sea appeared in the sky. A vast aura spread out and clashed intensely with the ancient giant's desolate qi in the air. In that instant, winds blew, clouds churned, and waves roared. Lightning crackled in the sky, and the sky changed color. Situ Gang merged with the giant image, and the heavy ruler in his hand shone with a brilliant light. Situ Gang grew to 300 meters tall, revealing a ferocious expression as he hacked at Xiao Chen. This one ruler seemed to split the sky in half. The air in front of Situ Gang turned turbulent, forming berserk tornadoes in the air. If there was a mountain blocking Situ Gang's path at this moment, it would probably be split in half by this heavy ruler without a doubt. The destructive power of Battle Realm geniuses truly lived up to their reputations, inspiring fear in others. However, Xiao Chen had a heaven-ranked martial technique, so he did not fear it at all. He stored up a boundless aura as he looked at the approaching Situ Gang and shouted, "Boom! Boom! Boom!" 999 pillars of water soared into the sky from the vast sea behind Xiao Chen. Each pillar of water contained boundless quintessence, causing space to tremble and the world to tremble. Amid this startling aura, a dragon roar rang out, piercing through the sky for 5,000 kilometers around. It descended to the deep abyss and tore apart the boundless sea. A blue dragon leaped out of the sea and infused itself into the saber, bursting out a 3-kilometer-long saber light. "Scram!" Xiao Chen shouted coldly and chopped at Situ Gang, who was above. The 3-kilometer-long saber light had a blue dragon circling it, and auspicious clouds appeared, adding boundless might to it. Ka Xie. Under the attack of this saber light, the heavy ruler in Situ Gang's hand shattered, turning into thousands of specks of light and disappearing. Bang! The saber light struck Situ Gang's body, knocking him back and causing him to vomit blood. The giant image around him also vanished. The unparalleled aura pressed down on the air, vanishing without a trace. Situ Gang flew back like a cannonball, crashing into the city wall behind him. Half his body hung there, his survival unknown. When the inner sect disciples saw the ferocious Situ Gang get knocked back by Xiao Chen's saber strike, they were speechless, unable to recover their wits for a long time. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and checked the quintessence in his body. Then, he frowned slightly. He had been too rash. In order to teach Situ Gang a lesson, Xiao Chen had brought out the complete heaven-ranked martial technique's full might. Now, he did not have much quintessence left. If another enemy appeared, he would have to use his final trump card. The eyes of Guo Wu, who was hidden in the crowd, flickered as he struggled internally. Originally, Guo Wu had been prepared to beat Xiao Chen up. However, when he saw Xiao Chen display his might, the shock and disappointment in his heart far surpassed what others could imagine. Guo Wu wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to attack Xiao Chen. However, he feared that Xiao Chen still had a trump card that he had not used. If that happened, he would end up like Sida Gang. However, Guo Wu was not willing to leave just like that. If he missed this opportunity, he would not have another chance to defeat Xiao Chen in the future. I'll go all out. He exhausted all his vital qi and used powerful moves consecutively. Right now, he definitely does not have much quintessence left. When his aura is at its peak, I will trample on him. That will definitely cast an indelible shadow on him, making it hard for his cultivation to improve in the future. Guo Wu showed a resolute expression as he made up his mind. Without any hesitation, he turned into a beam of dim light and shot towards Xiao Chen. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.